Stadium for tonight's game between the Hampton Crabbers and the Bethel Bruins. I'm Tim Cole along with Bob Hintz, and we welcome you to Darling Stadium. Bob, this does feel somewhat familiar.
Yeah, we did the first game. We didn't have the camera on us or anything, but this is a game that's been our first inaugural game of the year because the last night the game was rained out. But field's in great shape, Tim. We're down there walking on it. Look, they've done a great job on that field.
Well, traditionally, this stadium has always had a great crew to take care of the stadium. As long as you and I were doing games after they converted the old Darling Stadium, this field has always been superbly kept, and tonight is no exception. But it's exciting to do the game between the Hampton Crabbers and the Bethel Bruins, both 2-0 coming into the game.
Takes you back a little bit, doesn't it? Because when we did the very first game we did was Hampton-Bethel. That was back in 1980. And the winner of that one went on to the state, one of the four teams that went to the state, different than what it is now. They got a whole playoff system, and it's kind of convoluted trying to explain what's going on. But more teams are involved, which means more kids get a chance to play in front of bigger crowds.
The Hampton Crabbers come in 2-0, having beaten Heritage 43-0, and then they squeaked by Norcom last week 14-13. A tough game, but they were playing a team that last year was 10-3, and they were playing at Norcom, so that's always a tough job.
Well, and one of the things in that game is the young Mr. Jamal Brown, who was quarterback the first game, ended up catching a pass for the winning score in that game against Norcom, and they brought a young man in who had not played quarterback since he was in the rec league and did an admirable job. They've got a young man that will be playing next week from Verina, 6'3", who is a great quarterback, but was in an accident, hurt his hand, so he wasn't able to practice till his hand healed. So Hampton's going to have a passing attack starting next week. Of course, timing, you got to work on the timing, and that'll all come. But the game tonight, Bethel comes in with a spread offense. They run an X receiver, a Y receiver, two split ends, and a guy in the backfield. And then they'll crunch it up to try to confuse the defense on the other side.
You talked about Hampton with the Dion Newsom having to fill in because this young man broke his hand during July. So that's got to really make it tough on Hampton coming in with a kid, like you said, hadn't really had any game experience.
Well, and this young man comes from a great family, Myron Newsom's son. And you and I were talking about Myron Newsom earlier this evening and remembered when he played at Hampton, and now he's over one of the coaches over at Hampton, getting to coach his son and see his son excel, which is great. So we've just been very fortunate to have some tremendous athletes come through the Hampton system and the peninsula as a whole. So we're going to talk a little bit about our sponsors tonight, but before I do that, we will pick a player of the game tonight from both of these teams, and that player will receive a shirt, and that shirt comes from Tidewater Team Sports, and our friend Dave Chubb is out there with Terry McNamara, and they have a full line of athletic goods, sports equipment, screen printing. They do all kinds of things, and we're just glad to have them as one of our corporate sponsors.
All right, well, right now we are going to go back in time.
Back in town.
When Mike Smith was interviewed just briefly a while ago with Brent Musgrove.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. This is Brent Musgrove with the local channel LCS for our 2011 season. I'm here with head coach Mike Smith, and what a privilege. Coach, I was going over some stats today, and I'm going to surprise you with this one. I added up the other 9 coaches' time in coaching in the district. They've got 36 years. You got 41 by yourself. I just thought I'd put that out there for general information.
Yeah. I've just been lucky to live a long time. There'll be some of them coach longer than that probably.
Well, last year you were 11-2. You come in this year, you're 2-0. You got a young team. You're starting 11 seniors out of your 22 players. How do you feel the team is, at this stage of the season, is where you want it to be?
Well, they're very competitive. They work hard. Not very big, but they're quick. And we had about 7 guys come back on defense, so that was a plus for us. We lost our entire offensive line except one kid. And, of course, we lost the quarterback. He started for us for 3 years. And that was a little bit of a lick. But great kids, great competitors. and they play hard. So that's the fun of the game. So they're good.
Well, that's a Mike Smith team. They're going to play hard or they're not going to play. I want to talk about, we had him last year. Tell me a little bit about Bellamy, what he means to your team and to the attitude of your team and the way he plays.
Well, Kayvon's just got great leadership qualities, I think, by just being so involved in practice, so involved during the game, emotional type of guy, but emotions under control. Tough. I mean, he takes his helmet off. He looks like Joe Frazier. The other night he looked like he'd been fighting Ali down in. But he's a great kid, tough kid. Loves the game, loves his teammates. Respectful kid. He's a dandy.
So is he a leader on both sides of the ball, Coach? Is Cogdell part of that on the defensive side more, or how does those two work out?
Well, Bellamy calls defenses. I mean, he's a linebacker. But probably tonight, Cogdell's going to play inside with him because we're going to have to move one linebacker to defensive end. Played some last week, so. Sounds like last week, all those tires squealing. They had about 10 cars piled up while we was practicing out there. But he's real tough on defense. He just has a tough mentality. But great kid, pleasant, quiet. So he's a great kid to coach.
Well, let me ask you a little bit now. You seem to be searching a little bit at quarterback. You got some things going on. Everybody's asking the same questions. Where do you feel Newsome in his transition right now, trying to take over and run this team? Where do you feel he stands right now?
Well, I'm perfectly comfortable with any of them being in at quarterback right now. I mean, Dion's just a great competitor. He's like Bellamy. I mean, he's got the Watford blood all the way back through Myron, and his dad, the Newsome, he's tough. And I like to put the ball in Dion's hand, and Dion do a lot with it. I mean, he's not an accomplished passer this time, although he throws the ball well. And been cheated a little bit, didn't get thrown that much this summer and this fall. And the other kid had a hip flexor last week, so we try to keep contact off him. They get in quarterback a little bit tonight, but we don't want him too much contact at this point right now with Brown. Jamal's he's tough, played through a lot of pain here lately.
Coach, one last question. Last year when you played Bethel, you really had an explosive offense on and put 60-some points on the board. They're 2-0 coming into here. They played a Lake Taylor team pretty tough last week and beat them. What do you see? What do you expect tonight that the fans should look for? It's going to be your toughest thing to think about when you're preparing for this team, for Bethel.
Well, they played two completely different ball games. They played Gloucester. They ran one offense. They played Lake Taylor. And, of course, if you play Lake Taylor, they're bringing the house after you. They put 9 of them in the box. And they played very smart against Lake Taylor. They just went too wide and ran fly patterns. Lake Taylor fell down a couple times. And the kid threw the ball really well. Number 7 had a great game. They didn't run the ball in it, but against Gloucester, they ran the ball and threw the ball, but they ran out of different formations. Lake Taylor, on the other hand, if they don't stop you on the initial surge, they get in trouble a lot of times. I know so defensive backs, Bethel just beat them. Bethel was better than they were at receiver and quarterback, and they put a whipping on them.
Coach, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come over. Good luck for 42 season. Thank you so much for all the years. Coach, thank you so much, and we'll send it back. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you, Brent. And Mike Smith, I haven't seen him a number of years, but hasn't changed a bit, has he?
Neither of you. Come to think of it.
Well, a little less hair and a little more weight, but other than that, everything is about the same.
Well, he was talking a little bit about the quarterback for Bethel, and, of course, that's Frank Brown. And you and I remember when his dad was playing for Coach Kozlowski over at Bethel High School. He's the number 2 passer in the district so far after 2 games, and number 1 and number 4 receiver is 2 guys he throws the ball to. So they will get a lot of yardage if they can get some time to get to set up and not have a lot of rush on him and pick out his receivers. He'll do well tonight.
Okay, right now we're going to go back in time again. This time Bob had a chance to talk with Jeff Nelson, the head coach at the Bethel Bruins.
All right, I got Coach Jeff Nelson with me from Bethel Bruins, and Coach, we're glad to see you standing up.
Well, it feels good to stand and take a little walk, and I'm just glad to be here.
Well, I tell you, you've gone through a lot of stuff with that knee, but we want to talk a little bit about your team tonight, Coach. I know that we always talk about the maturity of a team, but let's talk a little bit about your team's maturity.
We've come a long way since last year, and we've got some kids who've stepped up for us, and you can just tell in the play as they talk to each other and in practice, we've taken another step of knowing each other and just maturing all together with with football knowledge and everything. So.
Well, that always makes a coach feel good that you can see growth in these kids. Now, I know you got a couple of talk a little bit about the leaders. You got a young man by the name of Chris Davis and Michael Artis. Are these two of your leaders?
They come through camp. Coach Hooker's doing a great job for me, and they were at camp, and they voted on these kids as being, captains because of how hard they've worked. We've had a lot of kids to step up to be leaders this year, and so these two, they've worked hard in the weight room. They've worked hard in practice, so they lead by example.
All right, now you do something a little different than most of these teams. They want to run first, and then if we get a chance, we'll pass. You run a spread offense. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, we run the spread. Just we try to make it balanced. We'll throw the ball to get you out of the box, and then we'll try to run the ball to get you back in the box. So that's what we're trying to do. We try to spread you, and we're trying to dissect you.
All right, we're going to ask one last question. You're going to Division 6. Good thing or bad thing?
It's good, and football is football. I don't care if it's Division 5, 6, 3, or 2. I mean, football is football. So we're happy just to be anywhere and just playing ball.
Well, you're 2-0, and I know you got to take your hat off to your coaches.
Yeah, my assistant coaches, they really stepped up this year and towards the end of last year. And it's been a tough process for the kids, but we've worked this out together, and that's why we're a family, and we just worked it out.
Well, good luck to you tonight, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, let's go on back, guys.
All right, thank you. And tonight's game is brought to you by the Grey Goose Restaurant, located in West Queensway in Hampton. Breakfast menus. Oh, we got to do the wrap-up first.
Oh, well,
Okay.
You haven't done this a few times. So.
Well, I was eager to read some of our corporate sponsors.
Well, and that's where we.
Okay. Well, let's right now go back down to the field when Bob and Brent wrapped up the pregame show.
Our last time back in time.
There you go.
Thanks, guys. Welcome to the 2011 high school football system in the city of Hampton, brought to you by LSC. Bob and I got a chance to get back one more year, Bob. You beat me on the golf course 8 out of 10 times this year, and I don't want to play anymore. But let's get down to football a little bit. We had our first game rained out last night, but here we are at the traditional game. Here is the game that started your whole career in this mess.
Yeah, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about that in a minute. But, these two teams are both 2-0 coming in tonight. And, they're both unproven. So, you haven't played anybody real tough. But when you play Hampton and when you play Bethel, you're going to run into some tough teams.
Well, I don't know about real tough. Lake Taylor's had a real tradition over the past few years. As like Mike was saying earlier, they're going to bring the house. So, they're bringing 9 to the line, and Bethel's got a quarterback that can put it in the air. That's going to be one of the things that we have to talk about before we get through here.
Yeah, well, I like Frank Brown. Frank has just done a great job. Now, his dad was a quarterback for Kyle Kozlowski over at Bethel, so he comes from great stock. But when I was talking to Coach Jeff Nelson earlier, he had said he loves the way he's throwing the ball now. His timing is a little bit better. He's just maybe off, a couple inches. He says he's looking for him to really break out this year.
Last year, Bethel ended up 6-4, I think it was. And this game was really a turnaround for them, kind of a shock. Hampton put 60 points on them last year. Now Hampton's coming here. Hampton's averaging 28 points on offense, 7 points on defense. Kickingham averaging 30 points on offense and 9 points on defense. Both pretty new teams. Hampton's running only 11 seniors out of their 22 players. Jeff Nelson's running 17 seniors out of his players. So a little bit more experience. And when you weigh out the lines, as they say, talking in the trenches, Bethel's got a little bit more weight and a little bit more size to him and a little bit more experience. But now you're talking about one thing I said to Mike Smith earlier. All the coaches in the district together have 36 years coaching. Mike Smith's been doing this 41 years.
Yeah. Well, as a head job, 41 years.
Yeah. He's one with big teams and little teams. So I look for this game to be quite interesting. Both teams are struggling just a little bit.
Well, I think it's going to be a great game. I got Tim Cole up here with me, and I want you to talk a little bit about that. But boy, this is bringing back a lot of memories with me tonight.
Well, you've heard me say this 100 times. When I was going through a little battle with my health, your guys' voices were in my house more than my wife and kids was, because that was the only way I could keep up with the high school sports, because I supervised out here so I could be out here to the games when I was on the police department. And so this is quite an event for me. We went down and saw Tim in South Carolina back in January and talked to him for a little while. And tonight's quite a reunion for me. I'm glad I'm just going to be able to sit up here and do stats and listen to you guys do this again. So for you folks that go back in time, as y'all used to say all the time, this is going to be fun for me.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I really am. This is, one of these things that you get to go by. 1980, we did our first game. 31 years later, we're doing a Hampton-Bethel game again. Awesome.
So, folks, we're looking for a great night. Plus, we got 2 great teams here. The first game, by the way, Hampton won. Isn't that right, Bob?
That's correct.
Okay, so we'll send it back, guys. Thank y'all so much.
All right, thank you. As you can see, the Bethel Bruins marching band is on the field. We are just about set to have the presentation of the color guard and the national anthem. As a matter of fact, the crowd has been asked to stand and remove their caps, and we'll do the same and let you enjoy the playing of our national anthem.
Today's game is sponsored by the Grey Goose Restaurant, located on West Queens Way in Hampton. Enjoy the wide selection of breakfast and lunch dishes, sure to please your appetite. Follow the Grey Goose Restaurant on Facebook, the restaurant that's also a bakery. Coliseum Central. Coliseum Central is located right in the heart of Hampton Roads, between Armistead Avenue and Interstate 64. You can take care of all your shopping, dining, entertainment, medical, and business needs right here. Who will represent you? Hampton athletes use Made Men Management because it's the best sports agency in the best area for sports. Rico's Pizza, located at 55 West Mercury Boulevard in the Langley Square Shopping Center. Rico's Pizza is sure to hit the spot after the game. Call 723-6850 today to place your order. Beach Hardware, located at 1951 East Pembroke Avenue in the Buckrow Shopping Center. Beach Hardware is your friendly local hardware store with everything you need to maintain your home inside and out. Eric Thompson, Realtor. Contact Eric to buy or sell a home or property. Give Eric a call at 685-3127 or email him at eric@findhrhomes.com. Tidewater Team Sports, located at 11839B Cannon Boulevard in the Oyster Point section of Newport News. Tidewater Team Sports is your one-stop sports headquarters for screen printing, embroidery, uniforms, and apparel. Call 594-0411 and talk to David Chubb or Terry McNamara. Sponsored in part by attorneys at Kaufman and Knowles, with offices in Hampton on Cunningham Drive across from Peninsula Town Center and in Newport News at City Center. Kaufman and Knowles. We can and we will. Park Lawn Wood Funeral Home, located at 2552 North Armistead Avenue. The funeral director is Vernon Kruger.
here at Darling Stadium. This game live tonight, of course. We'll also be replaying this game until the people get really tired of it.
and then we'll get to see it years later.
That's right. But if the game is going to be replayed again on Sunday the 18th at 3 p.m., Monday the 19th of September, 2011 at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., Tuesday the 20th from 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. again, Friday the 23rd of September, 7:30 a.m. and 7:30 p.m., Saturday the 24th at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., and then finally on Sunday the 25th of September at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m.
We want to give you as much exposure as we can. We got you up here, brought you up from South Carolina, and come up in a brand new Volvo, just as smooth as glass, I guess. So,
is that one of our sponsors, Volvo? What? No, I guess not. But you know, I've really enjoyed the residual checks that I've been getting for all these games.
You've been getting those?
Oh yeah, they've been wonderful.
Yeah, Scotty, so
that's
good.
how I bought the new car.
Yeah. I wondered how come I wasn't getting them. You must be getting my half too.
I was. At least that was the story.
Oh, okay.
That is exciting to be back here and to see the Hampton-Bethel game. It meant so much to us, certainly to me, over the years as we did football, baseball, basketball, soccer, girls softball, anything that
even did I believe we did all-star games when we'd go all the way up to Liberty University and then when they were held here. So and then I remember doing the Russian national junior basketball team come in, and you had to try to come up with how to pronounce these names. And
I happen to be because down in Charleston, I'm able to listen to Channel 48 on the internet.
Right.
And so every once in a while, I'm absolutely bored out of my board. I'll turn it on just to get a good laugh. And showing that there was the game from the Hampton Coliseum with the Russian team against the Boo Williams AAU team, I guess it was.
Right.
And I murdered those names.
Well, all I was saying it was number 10. I wasn't even taking a shot at the name.
That's right. See, nobody knew whether we were mispronouncing the names right or not. We could have made them all up. That's right. But this game, of course, is very important because these two teams obviously want to go undefeated for the season and have that opportunity to represent the Peninsula District. Of course, years past, we've seen, because of the rankings and the ratings, we've seen two Peninsula teams usually go to the district playoffs, and regardless, because their power ratings are so high.
Well, and what we have this year is we have Kickingham, Phoebus, and Hampton Division 5, really good. Bethel's moving up to Division 6, so that opens up another door. So we could end up with three teams very easily in the playoffs this year.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. The Peninsula District, you know, and I was talking about this earlier. The weather has been hot and muggy, but you know what? Tonight is a perfect night for football.
And it really is. It is perfect night. And how many times did you said that?
Mid-60s, minimal chance of rain. But I have to say one thing, and forgive me, but I'm a little disappointed. I'm looking at the crowd across the way here. This is a Hampton team that has great tradition of having terrific crowds, and I was kind of disappointed to see that they weren't lined up outside trying to get in. But Scotty put his finger on it. They were at home watching this game live. So.
Well, they wanted to get us before they edited anything out that we messed up with, I guess. I don't know.
One of the two. We're not sure which.
But if we got a chance, I just wanted to talk a little bit about Frank Brown. And Frank's has completed 46 of 79 passes, had 4 interceptions, 3 touchdowns for a total of 647 yards. And that's not bad in 2 games.
Not too bad at all.
And Rashad Proctor, his top receiver, has caught 12 balls and his average for 336 yards, having 28 yards a catch, which isn't too shabby either. And Willie Davis, who was the number 4 receiver in the district, has caught 11 balls for 107 yards, and averaging just under 10 yards a carry. So you've got a team that's coming in that is going to throw the ball, and Mike Smith's team is traditionally going to run it unless they had a young man by the name of Tyrod Curry and Tyrod Taylor or Marcus Higgins, who could not only pass but could run. So.
Or Hunter, or you can go through a few dozen names of. But you know, of course, the hallmark of Hampton over the years has been their defense.
Yes.
You know, even when they had the great offensive teams, and they have had so many, I can't even start to name the players. but they've always been known for their defense. And
very
so
stingy.
so that will be the test for the Bruins tonight. And Frank Brown, he's had a great start to the season, certainly with impressive victories over Gloucester with 35 to nothing, and then beat Lake Taylor. As Brent said, Lake Taylor has had a tradition of being very strong from the south side, but they beat them at Lake Taylor 26-18. So, but this will be a true test for the Bethel Bruins, as it will be for the Hampton Crabbers. Although Hampton last week had all they wanted with Norcom, but again, a team with 10-3 last year playing on the road at Norcom, they did very well with a young, unestablished quarterback.
Right, and the first time he got to play quarterback this year, and you're going over against a team that is traditionally pretty tough also, and you are trailing in the fourth quarter. And that means you not only have to score, but then you got to kick the extra point to win the game. You score, you're tied. So Hampton did a great job of coming back and being able to rebound from a deficit of 6 points.
Now let's talk too, because I've been out of the town now for a couple of years, but
just a couple.
While I was gone, Phoebus has established themselves as the ultimate powerhouse, having continued to win state championships and so forth. So congratulations to them. And now Kecoughtan starts the season 2-0.
Right.
So as we go into the third game of the season, we've got 4 Hampton schools that are undefeated, which is pretty impressive.
Well, and it has been that way for the last few years. It seems like if you're going to win the Peninsula District, it's going to come from one of the Hampton schools. It's just the only school on the other side, and I'm talking Newport News, that has really showed a lot of consistency has been Woodside. And Mentril has not gotten any consistency. Heritage has now got a new coach who played for Mike Smith, the coach for Mike Smith. They call him Chubbs, is over there at Massenburg, is over there at the coaching at Heritage, and he's got Muffin Curry, if you remember Muffin Curry.
Well, let's go down as we look into the pregame ceremony for the toss of the coin. It looks like Bethel won and deferred.
And that's been the trend. Go on defense first.
2 things I want you to take to your team. The first is when the whistle sounds, it's over. You got a guy wrapped up when the whistle sounds, let him go. Don't stick him on his head. Okay? The other thing is you hit somebody, they know they've been hit. Don't get in their face and talk to them. Only unsportsman. Okay? All right, everybody. Bethel, put your backs around here. Hampton, come around here.
Oh, we got. I'm going to
Hampton
do
receive this in. Bring out guys.
And
have a good ball
Hampton has
game.
won
Good
the
luck
coin
to you.
toss, and I'd like to receive.
All right, so I'm going to do the Bruins, and you're going to do the Crappers.
I am. We're ready for the starting lineups, or are we not?
Hampton.
Let's go with the Hampton visiting team tonight, their starting lineup.
Offense, right.
And there you see the offensive line. We got McAllister, Bazemore, Wilson, Garrett, and Flood. The receivers are Moore, Brown, and Porter. And in the backfield, we got Dion Newsom at quarterback, Bellamy and Cogdell at the fullback spot.
And for Bethel on defense, at nose guard, we'll see. Wait till I pop them up here. Here we go. At nose guard, we have Saunders at tackles, Johnson and Walker. At middle linebacker, we got Keith Phillips. At the other inside linebackers, we got Artis and Pretlow. The outside backers, McBride and Davis. And at the corners, we got Proctor and Sweetenberg, and Nick Clark is the safety. Good shot of those young men. All right, we got to catch up with the numbers here. We'll try to pick out who's got deep. They got deep for the Crabbers. Looks like number 5 is deep, Tim, and that would be
Newsom.
Yep. And we saw Ron Curry and all the quarterbacks end up being a great returner. So
kicking off will be Jordan Shover, number 99 for the Bethel Bruins.
And he's just a sophomore. He punts and he kicks. Usually you don't get them till if they played soccer, you don't get them till later on. But they got this young man early.
Well, I got a number change on him right off the bat because he's wearing number 69.
Well, there you go.
12-minute quarters in high school football, just to remind those of you and myself, since it's been a while since I did a high school game. It's going to be a short kick taken by one of the up men, And he is across the 35 out to about the 38-yard line. So the Hampton Crabbers will have real good field position to start this possession. That was number 84 for the Crabbers who returned that kick, and that is Tri Presley. So the Hampton Crabbers will come up to the line of scrimmage for the first time tonight.
The Bruins like to run a three-man front. They'll put a guy right on the center, and then they'll run those linebackers. They'll basically run 5 linebackers with 2 inside, 2 outside, and the middle man may just be all over the place.
Jamal Brown at the top of your screen, number 2. In the shotgun is Newsom. Newsom hands off, and the ball is across the 40 to about the 42-yard line. So pick up of 4 yards on the first down.
That was just a straight handoff off to the right side. They're trying to use that right side of the line and see if they can pick up some yardage. It looked like there was a trap block in there.
I have not seen this new graphic stuff you
It's
guys got
kinda
here,
neat, isn't
huh?
it?
Yeah, very impressive. Got the time on there and the score, and I'm blown away. Come a long way since you and I first did the first game.
Well, now Mr. Foley will expect a little pat on the back for that. He'll send you a check in the mail.
All right.
Help that other one you get.
We got a little premature movement. It looked like the left side of the offensive line for the Crabbers left the 3-point stance a little.
Prior to the snap, false start against the offense.
We never did get who the officials were tonight. So
No, we didn't. We apologize for that. But I did notice that the officials in all the college and high school now are wearing the long pants at the games. That's interesting.
And that must be a new mandate or something. I don't know. Because you had your buddy Boney Bones.
Yeah, Chuck Boney.
And you always told him he needed long pants anyway, if I remember.
So they move the ball back to the 38.
Oh, it's actually now 2nd and 20. 2nd and 10.
Yep. Inside handoff, nothing going on, but he is dragged down for a loss on the play. A fine defensive effort by the Bethel Bruins.
That's Gabriel Saunders. He's a senior defensive lineman. 6'2", 265, Tim. Big kid.
And you're taking a look at the Bethel Bruins home side of the field. Here's your replay on a good defensive push by the Bruins.
He actually hit the center of the line and bounced back and tried to get outside. By bouncing, he ended up losing what it looks like about 5 yards on that?
Yep, it looked like he was going to get away for a moment. But a nice job by Saunders to make sure he didn't get away. So the Crabbers are kind of stalling down here. It's 3rd down and 16 to go on their initial possession of the ballgame. Yep, we're already 2 minutes into the game, and the Crabbers are going backwards.
And they got to be careful they don't get a delay a game. They're always a little slow getting the play in sometimes. And
out of the shotgun, Newsom wants to go long. He's got a man open and just overthrows.
Oh, if he would have laid out, he might have had a chance.
Just overthrew the intended receiver. That was Jamal Brown, who had a step on the defender.
Yeah.
But the ball was just a little overthrown. A nice looking play, but just off the mark.
Jamal's got a full ride to University of Virginia. Mike Linden loved what he saw in camp and offered him a full ride.
Back in the deep punt formation is Curtis Stabe. I hope I pronounced his name correctly.
And I'll catch the number of the receiver, the deep man.
Left-footed kicker gets a nice punt away, taken at the 31-yard line. Fair catch called for by Willie Davis.
Yep. Willie Davis. Now, there's a name.
There's a football name if you ever heard one. All right, so let's take a look at the starting lineup for the Hampton Crabbers on defense. The tackles are Garrett and McCutcheon. The ends are Wilson and Flood. Linebackers Cogdell, Bellamy, and Williams. And your corners are Jenneret and Brown. Your safety is Newsom, and your strong safety is Newsom, and Daquan Moore is your safety.
We'll have Bruins offense after this play.
No, thank goodness there's no Russian players on this field tonight. And dragged down from behind on a good defensive play.
No, but Brown kept the ball. It was a great fake that way. I thought, and they got a first down. And here comes the Bethel offense in center. We got Maddox at the guards, Durer and Howard. The tackles, McLean and Mason. 2 split ends, Proctor and Davis. 2 flankers, Houston and Alex Wilson. The tailback, Chris Davis, and the quarterback, Frank Brown.
They faked this old man out big time. I was watching who I thought had the ball.
And I'm looking him around the ball and wondering, what's he looking at? What game is he watching?
I'm watching number 22 dragged down from behind, but he didn't have the pigskin. Close enough for a measurement. Going to stretch that chain out and see if the Bruins got the first down of the ballgame.
Oh, man, you missed your eagle-eye chance.
I know. I'll get a chance for through here. So that one comes up about 6 inches short. So a gain of 9 3/4.
Well, that's just what you thought, wasn't it? About 6 inches.
Well, I'm clairvoyant. That's what I was figuring all along. Not only was I faked out as who carried the ball.
What a beautiful night, though. Isn't this nice? And the wind is not real strong.
I understand last night's game got washed out.
Yeah, we had some wind last night.
They're replaying that game, or going to reschedule that game, I should say.
And rescheduled for Saturday here at noon. Yeah, but I've also heard.
Prior to the snap, encroachment against the defense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
So the Crabbers will give a first down to the Bruins.
Right, but I'm hearing that it's going to start raining about 10 a.m. and rain right on through to Sunday. So if there's no lightning headed our way, they will play the game, and that's the Phoebus and Kicketan game.
So the Bruins first down. Brown back to throw. Has a man wide open at the 45-yard line of the Crabbers. He stopped at the 43, but that'll be another first down for the Bethel Bruins.
Rashad Proctor, the senior, the 6'1", 185, did a little comeback route. If you can watch this now, he went down and then kind of hooked and came back to the ball. They will catch it on replay. I love that replay. That's something new right there. You see him coming back.
Somebody missed an assignment there, it would appear.
Well, it's hard to
he was wide open.
Catch that guy when he makes that move coming back. It's hard for the defensive man to stay with him.
It was Dion Newsom who made the stop. Bruins keep on the ground, and they'll cross the 40-yard line. Picked up almost 4 on that play.
Davis, just a little kid, 5'6", but I'll tell you what, he's got a big heart.
He's the one I thought carried that other ball.
He got thrown for a loss and didn't have the ball.
We won't count that against him.
No.
Gain of 4, second down and 6 for the Bethel Bruins. No score here, 8:15 remaining in the first quarter. Here from Darling Stadium, Tim Cole along with Bob Hintz and Brent Musgrove.
And Eric, and also Frank
Edgar, providing us with statistics. Brown swing pass to the near side, completes the ball. 35, 34-yard line is dragged out of bounds.
And took one of the officials with him.
Looks like it's short of the first down by about a yard. But, you know, that sideline can be very dangerous, and the official is still down. So hopefully he was not injured too badly, but he is not getting up right away, as you can see. Here's your replay.
Yeah, and this basically is what happened to Coach
Nelson,
yeah. But you see, I mean, he was blindsided. Yeah, they're bringing in the, we're going to have to wait to bring the emergency people over here. That's who they're after right now. So evidently he is hurt pretty bad.
So we're going to have a stoppage in play while they do that. And that's very unfortunate. There you see the official down on the ground. That anywhere along that sideline, you have to be very careful. And Jeff Nelson will tell you all about that.
Well, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but he was hit the year before and tore up his shoulder. But this time it was like his foot caught on the thing down there, whatever. So we can let's talk a little bit about our crew. We got a chance to talk about our crew. We got cameraman. We got Wooby Gabray. My main man, Wubay, Susan Bowers, Gene Wheeler, and Steve Fry. Graphics and animation, and you've seen right there with the instant replay, that's Andy Foley for that. And, you know, Andy loves Jeff Nelson. If you notice, they both got the red beard,
Yep.
the Viking beard. Slow motion instant replay, Krista Campbell. Camera operator, control operator, Renee Camden. The chief engineer, Don Scharouse. The engineer, Greg Lesko. Director, producer, Scotty Bowers. And, of course, I'm along with Tim Cole, Brent Musgrove, and Frank Edgar.
Frank Brown is 2 for 2 so far in the game for 15 yards. We apologize. We did not get an opportunity to get the official's name, so we can't identify the gentleman who has been injured. But let's keep our fingers crossed it was nothing too serious. But apparently it's enough that they're going to be very cautious. Clock is up. Yes. We do have the official's name, so we're going to go ahead and tell you who they are. Bill Dozier. I thought I recognized Bill from the Fast, and George Adamowski.
Yep.
Those are names I remember. Mick Hartzheim. Joe Dent is the line judge. John Deck might be, no, this is the home side, so that wouldn't be John Deck. It would probably be Joe Dent.
Yeah.
Scott Davis is the field judge, and the back judge is Mike Mitchell. So we don't know for certain, and we won't speculate. But again, the sideline can be a very dangerous situation when you get hit from the side like that, and you got football players running at full speed.
Well, and your feet get kind of caught in the tarp they got laid down there. You can't slide like you would on your grass, how your foot would slide, and there's no way it's going to slide on that because it's, I don't know, whatever it's made out of. So,
well, there you see the EMTs on the spot to take care of the official who's been taken down by that play.
I'll tell you, these people, these EMTs do a great job. When I had my little episode, they were down there, had me on, and Brent was right beside me, who hooked onto my hip, and we went right to the hospital. Well, we didn't go right to the hospital. We got into the back of the thing, and I said, let's wait till halftime and see what the score was.
Always the trooper, huh, Bob?
And Phoebus ended up winning that game and went on to win the state championship that year. So that was one of Bill D's championship games. But they do a great job, the EMTs. They're here at all the ball games in case one of the kids get hurt, and you hope they never are pressed into service, and sometimes they are, and you just hope that everything turns out the best. I hope this young man is not hurt too bad, Tim.
Looks like they might be getting ready to put a splint on his leg. I don't know.
I'm trying to figure out what this is. Do you know what this is?
I have no idea. But let's while we have this moment, let's kind of take a minute to reminisce and talk about some of the great players that have come through the Peninsula District. Of course, the Hampton Crabbers have a long history, as do all of the teams, and certainly most recently the Phoebus Phantoms have had their share of excellent players that have gone on to play college ball. And
well, let's go with some of the recent ones. We got Xavier Devey is now playing for the Vikings. A young man who was up and playing for played for Kickingham, is now playing for the Patriots, linebacker. And name just went right out of my mind.
So what happens when we reach our age.
Oh, man, and I know his name.
Well, while you're thinking about it, I'm going to mention some of our sponsors.
Go ahead.
I'm going to.
If I interrupt you because I thought of the name.
It won't be the first time you've interrupted me, so that'll be right. Tonight's game is sponsored by a number of our very generous sponsors. The Grey Goose Restaurant, located on West Queensway in Hampton. Breakfast menu includes the famous toasted buttermilk biscuits, and for lunch, try their smoked turkey panini. Follow the Grey Goose Restaurant on Facebook, the restaurant that is also a bakery. Did you think of his name yet?
No.
Okay, well,
I got hungry.
Well, it used to happen to us all the time when we read our different sponsors. There you see the Bethel side of the field, which is filled up pretty nicely here as the first quarter has moving along. If you just joined us, the reason we're in a bit of a delay here is one of the officials, and we believe it is Joe Dent, rather, and he is being attended to. I think I saw one of those inflatable casts being used on his leg, which is not good. But and I would remind you that today's game is sponsored by Rico's Pizza, located at 55 West Mercury Boulevard in the Langley Square Shopping Center. Stop in after the game and pick up a pizza or one of their many menu items. Rico's Pizza is sure a hit spot after you watch your home teams go head to head.
I figured out what puddle duck.
Uh-huh.
Puddle duck that's somebody's nickname that does instant replay.
Okay. That's what it said on that piece of paper. But,
Yes, nickname, and I think Krista just got mad at me. Today's game is also sponsored by Coliseum Central. Coliseum Central is located right in the heart of Hampton Roads between Armstead Avenue and Interstate 64. You can take care of all your shopping, dining, entertainment, medical, and business needs right here. So we got a couple more here. Today's sponsors also is Made Man Management. Hampton athletes use Made Man Men Management because it's the best sports agency in the area for sports. Former football player Justin Russell is a certified sports agent, giving you a full service of sports management experience. And, of course, I can't forget the last one. My buddy David Chubb has been doing the Player of the Game T-shirts from day one when he first started in the 90s.
And I got to tell you,
early 90s.
over the years, he was kind enough to give us some extras, and I wear them around the house on the weekends and working in the yard. And, Dave, if you're listening, I could use a couple of double X.
Double X's?
Donna threw them out finally because they were so worn and tattered, but they were the most comfortable shirts to wear. So
I'll see if I can see what I can do. But Tidewater Team Sports, located on Cannon Avenue in Oyster Point section, Newport News. Tidewater Team Sports is your one-stop sports headquarters for screen printing, embroidery, uniform, and apparel. Call 594-0411. Talk to either David Chubb or Terry McNamara.
All right, if you joined us late, we are going to kind of recap what's happened so far. Hampton got the opening kickoff. The coin toss was won by Bethel, and they deferred to the second half. So Hampton received, and their drive stalled before they could get a first down. So they eventually kicked the ball to the Bruins. And then the Bruins have been driving with the ball. Frank Brown, Don Chiraus, our chief engineer, down on the sideline.
I don't think he was real happy with that shot, but that's okay. You people out there, you see Don, thank him, because he's the chief. He's always working.
But anyway, the Bruins were driving and have the ball at the Hampton 35-yard line, when the official was injured on the sideline play, still being attended to. There you see some of the players. We'll get a chance to get their moms and dads to be able to see them on our coverage. But we're in a rather lengthy delay now as we're waiting for the official to be attended to.
Yeah, well, and in all fairness, they're going to make sure that he is properly taken care of before they move him. They're going to make sure that if the leg is immobile, they're not going to do anything to further the injury and that sort of thing. So, and the young men out here that are playing football, they were geared up, ready to go, and we're moving, and now they're going to have a letdown. They're going to have to come back as we watch the replay right here. And you just see they took out his left leg right at the knee. Then he went down real hard.
Whenever I'm watching college or professional football on TV and you see a lineman get rolled up on, it's one of those things you almost don't want to watch because you can see the knee or the ankle go in a certain direction, which is not a normal direction for it to go in. And so I cringe every time I see it. I just know, unfortunately, that's probably what's happened to this official. And these guys come out here, and certainly a lot of people won't hesitate to criticize the officiating, but these guys work for a very minimal amount of money.
Yes,
they do it for the love of the sport. You talked about Chuck Boney a little while ago, a very good friend of mine who's retired now, lives down in Lake Gaston. But Chuck was an official for years, and he was just as much involved in the game as the players are. They'd come to the pregame discussion, and they'd make sure they were all ready, and they'd get all fired up.
And they get in shape because they have to run up and down the court or the field court if you're playing basketball,
Absolutely.
whatever. And so it's something that these guys taking a little extra time to do some service. And, you know, without officials, we would really be in trouble.
Oh, absolutely. So, you know, they're a very integral part of the game. And as I said, they do it for the love of the game far more than they would any kind of remuneration.
Gerard Mayo.
Gerard Mayo.
He's the one that's up with the Patriots.
That's who you're trying to think of, yeah. And I hear his name called
boom,
all
I'm
the
sorry.
time. Yeah.
Is Mama going to call me? He's going to call me. I'm in trouble now.
Now, he went to which school? He went to
Kickingham.
That's what I was pretty sure he did.
And just has done a great job. And I got a chance to talk to him this summer. And, of course, he was there when Brewski was there. He just came in as a new guy, and he had Brewski, and he had Junior Seau. He said, I had some teachers that just taught me everything.
And he learned well because he has been an integral part of that team for a couple of years now.
Well, he's the leading tackler.
Yep. So the official, Joe Dent, has been put up on the stretcher after they were able to mobilize his leg. We won't speculate on the severity of the injury, but only hope that it's just a sprain at this point. And he will not be returning. So now, of course, now that that team of officials, and it looks like they did put a splint on his leg, that team of officials now has to work with one less official. And even though it doesn't seem like it's very important, it is important because there's a certain balance that you have to have.
Well, and now you have to change what your perception of the game is. Before you had a particular area, now your area has expanded. Because I can remember, you and I can remember when they only had like 5 officials doing these games. Now we've got 7 officials, and the dynamics have changed a little bit. So they'll make some adjustment.
Okay, so kind of recap for you. This is the first possession of the ball game for the Bruins. The Crabbers could not get a first down, could not move the ball on their first possession, so they kicked to the Bruins. The Bruins now have driven from, I believe they started at their 30-yard line, and they've moved down to the 35-yard line of the Hampton Crabbers. It's 3rd down and 2. We have 7:56, as you can clearly see on your screen, remaining here in the first quarter.
Isn't that neat, that graphics?
I'm so impressed. You know, we used to, when we and I started here, I think we were using black and white cameras. And, you know, no, not
and Scotty didn't even have a beard. I don't think he was old enough to grow a beard when we started.
But the coverage has been superb and continues to be better every year. There's a nice pass completion over the middle. Frank Brown has been hot. He's 3 for 3 now. This is all the way down to the 15-yard line.
Well, that's normally his running back. Willie Davis that caught that ball that time. Slipped out of the backfield. Nobody picked him up.
Well, he is listed on the starting lineup as a split end, but because in this game, they have Chris Davis is tailback.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was wrong. You're right. I was wrong Davis.
Wrong Davis.
Well,
Willie Davis, great football name.
Yeah.
So a first down at the Hampton 15. This game, of course, would be considered a revenge game for the Bruins as they were thrashed last year by the Crabbers. On the keeper, Brown on the toss back to Davis, and that ball was never handled by him. So fortunately for the Bruins, it went out of bounds before the Crabbers could recover it.
Right. Well, now there's a difference in passing forward and a lateral. And you still got to make that pitch just as well as you make the forward pass, and he just didn't concentrate on that pitch like he normally would.
But you know, that's part of being in the early part of the season where the timing is still part of this, and you know, it comes with time. It looks like a simple play when it works well, but it's not. It's a very tough play to make on a timing basis. So a 6-yard loss on the down makes it 2nd down and 16 to go for the Bruins. Again, out of the shotgun. Brown with Davis on his right side. Brown will drop back, look over the middle, gets a little pressure, steps up, now decides to run with the ball down to about the 17-yard line.
Well, when he first started to run, he ran into one of his own blockers, and that kind of stopped him. He had a sidestep, or he probably would have picked up a whole lot more yardage, but he just couldn't get out of anybody's way. As we watch on the replay, now watch him right here, he kind of runs into his own man and had the sidestep, and number 80 for the Crabbers came up and made a good tackle. That's Jonathan Echoes.
So 3rd down now and 12 for the Bruins. Again from the gun. Brown toward the end zone. He completes the pass at the 1-yard line. It'll be just short of the end zone. but it'll be a first and goal for the Bruins.
And that's Rashad Proctor, his main man that he likes to go to. He was been the leading receiver in the district. But what a nice catch that was. We get that on replay. I kind of had to look around the corner here and couldn't hardly see it.
There you go. You get a chance to watch a good end of the play there. A defensive stop from the goal line, but Proctor did hold on to it.
He wanted the touchdown because he was in the Proctor just did a great job, but the ball never got over across the end line.
So at the 1 yard line, first and goal for the Bruins. Brown puts a man in motion. That's Davis in motion. Brown will keep it, and he is in the end zone for a touchdown. The side judge on the far side of the field indicates the touchdown.
Well, that's the safest play in football is quarterback keeper from 1 yard out. I mean, if you hand the ball, too many things can go wrong, especially early in the season. Nice drive. You said they started, what, about the 30?
Yeah, they started from their 30. So they, as you see the replay, with Frank Brown holding the ball himself and taking it the final yard for the touchdown. The Bruins will go for the 1 point. Jordan Shover.
And he's a young man, changed his number to 69, didn't he?
Yep. Frank Brown, the quarterback, will be the holder. Kick is high enough, long enough, and it's through the uprights. So the drive for the Bruins, officially 69 yards, took 3 minutes and 33 seconds, 9 plays, and the final run by 1 yard by Frank Brown. But Brown to Proctor was really the reason that touchdown came to be.
And you're amazing. You said, I think he started about the 30.
Brown in the game so far, 4 out of 4, 51 yards.
Wow.
So a fine start for Frank Brown at quarterback.
Well, they got a little help. They got a penalty against the Crabbers. They got a nice run by the quarterback right at the beginning. Brown ran the ball, so they mixed it up a little bit. Good shot of Beth Mayer talking with one of the guys that work on this field here.
Well, he
John
looks familiar.
Johnson.
I've seen him before.
Yeah. Well, oh no, he's a Viking fan. You hear I think Andy knows every Viking fan on the peninsula.
Yes. Yep, I do remember. Short kick again, taken at the 22-yard line. The Crabbers out to the 34-yard line, so they'll again, to start this possession, will have good field position.
Well, I'm surprised. I don't know if that's an intentional thing to keep it away from the runners of Hampton, but they sure end up with great field position.
Here's your replay. The ball is going to be taken right at the 22-yard line.
And who is that running the ball?
That's what I was trying to pick up his number. Looks like number 30.
And he just kind of hid behind some of the blockers, didn't it?
Yep, that is Royce Hale, who is a junior running back. So the Crabbers will have the ball for the second time. They'll start from their 34-yard line with 5:58 remaining here in the first quarter. Bethel 7 and Hampton nothing. Newsom out of the shotgun.
Oh, there's a
Quarterback
play.
draw.
How many times have we seen Hampton run a quarterback?
Oh, and that should be a flag, and it is.
It is.
Yeah, the play well after Newsom was out of bounds was hit. Not a malicious hit, but he was hit nonetheless, and the official right on top of it will tack on 15.
Yeah, you got
After the play, personal foul on the defense, 15 yards, first down.
We'll get a chance to see it right here. Newsom's going to get the corner, nice block downfield, and he steps out of bounds right here, and then he is hit well after he was out of bounds. And sometimes it's hard to stop your momentum, so, in your exuberance, it's just one of those things, but as you said, the officials are going to do everything they can to protect the players.
You got to protect the players. You got to.
So the Crabbers will pick up an easy 15 after that nice play by Newsom, and they'll have the ball at the Bethel 35-yard line.
I'm having nostalgic moments up here. I want you to know that.
I'm having senior moments. Is that the same thing?
Probably.
Nice defensive play by Michael Artis for the Bethel Bruins to trip up the runner after a minimal gain. In fact, he just about got back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So Artis did a good job to keep the running back from getting yards. It looked like he might have a little running room there, and Artis made sure he didn't.
Well, the coach was talking about artists that Bethel goes to a camp for about 4 or 5 days where they all meet together, they stay together, they sleep, and they go over to Liberty Church, and they just bond together. And he's one of the young men that stepped up and became one of the leaders and was voted a captain.
Newsom again on the delayed quarterback draw. Picks up about 3 yards. See exactly where they marked the ball. Actually 2 now. And it'll bring up a 3rd down and 8 for the Hampton Crabbers. They trail 7-0 here in the first quarter. 4:47 and the clock moving. Darling Stadium on a beautiful night for football, and the temperature in the 60s. Light wind, no flags on the goalpost.
Just kind of fluttering.
Just barely.
You couldn't ask for a better night to come back up and do a ball game, Tim.
No, I was hoping it would be football weather, and it is. And now it looks like timeout is going to be called by the Crabbers. They had taken almost too much time to get that play off, and with the play clock running down, the sideline called a timeout. So the Crabbers will take this timeout. 4:22 left in the first quarter. Bethel has scored first on a 1-yard run from Frank Brown after a 69-yard drive on their first possession. And we certainly hope that the official who was injured is going to be all right. We don't know the extent of his injuries, but they did get him into an ambulance and get him off.
Now maybe we'll get some information at halftime to find out what's going on. Again,
That's for sure. Got some big boys on our Bethel sideline.
Well, that's what Mike Smith said when he saw him come out. And he says, they're a whole lot bigger than the kids I got. He said, I have maybe one guy that's 200 pounds. But Bethel, big team out there. And they have responded well for the coach not being able to be there right with them all the time. He goes when he can and when the doctor lets him go.
Newsom downfield overthrows his intended receiver. That was Dallas Cogdell, who was coming out of the backfield, the fullback, and he just threw it a little too high.
Well, I don't know. Mike Smith will surprise you. Sometimes this is not a bad place for him to think about going for it on 4th down. But he doesn't have the explosiveness of the Tyrod Taylor and Marcus Higgins and the Ronald Curry that. And I'm not taking anything away from the young Newsom. He's a great athlete in his own right, but he just not have played this position.
But they are, in fact, going for it on 4th and 8. And on the option, the pitch, and a runner is going to be stopped short of the first down. That was for the Hampton Crabbers. Number 42 is Marshawn Williams. He took the pitch from Newsom, but was stopped at the 29-yard line, so that's where the Bruins will take over on downs. Here's the replay. Just a quick option because he had no time to even think about it.
Number 50 was right in his face for the Bruins. That's Ricky Walker, and he's just a sophomore. They're real high on this young man. He's 6'1", 255.
So the Crabbers give the ball over on downs.
But if they'd have kicked it and went in the end zone, they would have only given up about 8 yards.
It was the tweener play. It was too far for a field goal and too close not to try for it. And now in the backfield as the Crabber defense stiffens. And the Bethel Bruins, Frank Brown is taken down for a sack.
And do you call that a coverage sack, Tim? I was looking at the 4 receivers out, and nobody was open. And if you don't have anybody to throw the ball to, you in your head, I've talked to enough quarterbacks to know that there's an internal clock, and you know about the time that protection is going to break down.
Crabbers go without the huddle.
You mean the Bruins?
I'm sorry, the Bruins, thank you.
That's all right, I would have done it too, so.
Brown, and both teams have gone from the shotgun almost exclusively. Swing pass to Davis, left side. He's got some running room. And he is taken out of bounds across the 34-yard line. So a nice pickup on that play to get back the 5 yards or 6 yards that they lost on the sack, and then some. It'll bring up a third down and a very manageable, looks to be about 5 yards, maybe almost 6 yards to go.
Or as you used to say, a long 5.
A long 5. Long 5, short 6.
Here you go.
There you see the score and the time.
Well, the fans have started to fill up the Hampton side. It's just like they were slow getting here tonight for some reason. And this is a typical Friday night ball game, so you'd thought there'd have been come out. Now we got a timeout.
Yeah, the Bruins were trying to do a no huddle. They were looking to the near sideline to get the signal for the play, and there seemed to be some confusion. So rather than lose the 5 yards and make it a very difficult attempt for a first down, they're going to take the timeout.
Well, both teams have now used one of the timeouts, and we still got 3:23 to go in the first quarter play.
So far in the ball game, Frank Brown is 5 for 5 and 61 yards. So he's got a perfect game going so far.
Well, and he is not throwing the ball into tight coverage. He's picked out the receiver that's open, which I don't know if that's the intended receiver or not, but as a quarterback, you got to check off. You're looking for a main receiver, and then you look for the next one for the next one. Well, in high school, these kids really haven't developed that sense yet that you develop in college and on into the pros. But oh, there is a no play rule for the band now.
Is that right?
The band cannot play while play is going on.
It took him 31 years.
I thought you would really appreciate that.
Oh, Frank Brown held the ball just a little too long. He was getting ready to pull the trigger, and before he could do so, he was run over by a couple of Crabber defenders.
Wow.
For a substantial loss, and that'll bring up a fourth down and a kicking situation for the Bruins. So the Hampton defense, and one of the players I saw that appeared to be amongst many, but it looked like it was Tyquan McCutcheon who came in there and put the finishing touches.
He was right in the midst of all of them. Well, that timeout didn't produce the play that they wanted. Watch, here it is. Boom. Here you go. That was 15 in there, too, for the Crabbers, who is Harper.
High end-over-end kick. Takes a bounce across the 50, and nice roll for the Bruins down to the 41-yard line. So that's where the Crabbers will take over after their defense did the job. 2:29 remaining, 7-0 in favor of the Bethel Bruins. Again, this game, of course, being broadcast live Friday night, the 16th of September. It'll be replayed on the 18th. That's Sunday, the 18th of September, 2011 at 3 p.m. Then Monday the 19th at 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Tuesday the 20th at 8 and 8. Friday the 23rd at 7:30 and 7:30. Saturday the 24th at 8 and 8. And finally on Sunday the 25th at 9 and 9.
We'll see if the Hampton can establish a running game here. And this is a young man who can run the ball right well.
This is Dallas Cogdell.
Yes.
He's got the pitch. And he picks up some yards for the Hampton Crabbers across the 45 to the 46-yard line. Picked up 4 yards on that play, almost 5.
Hampton's got some speed, and it might try to go more to the corners than trying to go right up the chute.
This game, a big game in the Peninsula District, because the winner will be 3-0, and the loser will have a one loss on their record, which could be a big factor later in the season. Inside handoff, struggling for some yards.
I didn't see how he got any yards down.
That was a tough run across the defensive middle of the defensive line for the Bruins, but a gain of looked like about 2.
Yeah, and he was hit at the line of scrimmage, so the 2 yards he got was his 2 yards. I mean, he didn't get any help.
3rd down and 4 for the Crabbers. Just brought to my attention that Kayvon Bellamy has no carries yet.
That's very unusual, yeah. You'll get all kinds of little
that's good stuff.
Notes. We love it.
Frank Edgar down there. Pitch to the corner. And had he not lost his balance, he might have gotten the 1st down, but he kind of stumbled and then just enough for the defense to be able to react to him.
It looks like we're just about a yard short.
Yep, going to mark it at the 49-yard line. Need to get to the 48.
Well, you know what Mike Smith does a lot in this situation.
So you saw there where Cogdell just couldn't keep his balance. He did a good job of staying upright, but by that time he had lost his momentum, and the Bruins covered him.
Try to drive him off charge. How many times outside? How many times we saw that over the years?
Well, we haven't seen this often. This is 4th down and 1 at midfield, and the Crabbers may try to pull them off. Nope, they're actually going to run the play. Pitch to the right side, and he gets the 1st down on a great second effort.
Wow, that's a gutsy call.
It was Marshawn Williams for the Hampton Crabbers, number 42, who got that pitch and turned the corner and got the yard and then some to keep the drive alive.
Everybody in the stands, including me, thought he was going with a hard count.
Well, that's the tradition. There you saw the very tail end of the play in the Bethel Bruins making the stop. That was Justin Blue, number 1, finishing off the tackle, but not before the Crabbers get enough yardage to keep the drive alive. They're at the Bruin 46-yard line. 1st down. Final 11 seconds of the 1st quarter. On the fake spin, and the Bruins were not fooled at all. Newsom took the snap and kind of spun around like he was going to pitch it, and then he wanted to try and run, but they were waiting for him.
When he spun right into a defensive man.
So a rather lengthy 1st quarter, a long delay as an injured official was tended to, and again, we hope he's fine, but he was taken off the field on a stretcher, and that took about 10 or 15 minutes to get him taken care of. So the 1st quarter comes to an end, and the Bruins lead 7-0 after 1.
And our 2nd quarter of today's game is sponsored by Beach Hardware, located at 1951 East Pembroke Avenue in the Buck Grove Shopping Center. Beach Hardware is your friendly local hardware store with everything you need to maintain your home inside and out.
We want to mention the officials' names again. We didn't have them at the very beginning of the ball game, but there you see one of them, and the referee with the white cap on. That is Bill Dozier.
That's Adamowski there. That's chewing
George
the gum.
Adamowski.
Yeah, George loves that gum.
1st quarter, real quick stats here. Marshawn Williams carried the ball 5 times for Hampton for 15 yards, and Frank Brown was perfect, 5 passes out of 5 for 61 yards to lead the Bruins to their score. And finishing those officials, Nick Hartzheim, Joe Dent, John Deck, Scott Davis, and Mike Mitchell.
Oh, nice
Crabbers.
fake.
Newsom in the open. Has one man, no, more than one man to beat. Sorry, I didn't see number 1 over there, but he got all the way down inside the 20-yard line.
Well, that was a great fake that he did inside, and then he got a kick-out block that just opened up the lane, and nobody was paying attention to the quarterback.
And you watch it on the replay here. You're going to see Newsom.
Right there's the kick-out block.
Oh,
great
look at that.
Job.
Great job of blocking, and then he got into the open. So tackled from behind, but not until he got to the 17-yard line where the Crabbers are 1st down.
I'd love to got the number of that young man that pulled from that right side and did that kick-out block, opened that hole up for Newsom.
Newsom hands off in the middle. Tough running yards again. Looked like it might be McCutcheon again.
Was that 32?
Cogdale, excuse me, Dallas Cogdale. So he picks up about 4. Second down for the Hampton Crabbers, trailing 7-0. Crowd still filing in here at Darling Stadium. Bruins side has filled up pretty nicely, but Hampton side, still a few holes in the stands. Crabbers taking a pretty lengthy amount of time getting the play called in the huddle. There is no visible play clock, so we can't tell you how much time he has remaining to get the play off. They do get it off. This is Newsom, left side. Stiff arms the defender, gets away from him, but not before the rest of the Bruins catch up with him and do a nice job of making sure he does not go anywhere.
I think that was Keenan McAllister, that number 53, that pulled and set that block up for Newsom on that nice long run. That showed some strength that just Newsom had. That guy had him wrapped up, and he just pushed him away. What strength.
But he was held up long enough to get reinforcements there. And it looked like he was finished off by Willie Davis. And now a timeout being called by the Crabbers. That'll be their second. They'll have one remaining.
Well, they're 3rd and 9, Tim, and you don't want to make any mistakes down here. Watch this replay right here. And this guy hits him, and he just pushes him off.
But that guy didn't give up. He went back at him. That was number 5 who he pushed off.
Yeah.
That was Willie Davis. And Willie Davis says, you're not going to get away from me.
You may push me off, but you're going backwards.
Yep, and he made that tackle from a running tackle earlier to keep Newsom from going further. He's very quick, Mr. Willie Davis is. Of course, if your name is Willie Davis, you better be a good football player.
Well, and the Willie Davis I know wasn't that quick.
No.
But he was really big and strong.
3rd down and 9 to go for Hampton. A crucial down here on this drive. The Bruin defense has come up big now to slow the Crabbers down. There you look at some of the fans in attendance from the Bethel Bruin side.
We don't suppose we could get you to come up here during football season, do you? You just stay with your mama.
Yeah.
Donna wouldn't mind, would she?
Mom wouldn't mind if I stayed up here, but
I bet Mama wouldn't.
I got to keep that paycheck coming in.
Yeah, I hear that.
So the Crabbers, 3rd down and 9. And got a new man at quarterback. He just throws the ball forward in an effort to get some yardage, but it's going to be thrown for a loss. Now, that was number 10 for the Crabbers.
Jeremy Eubank. That's a young man I didn't think we'd see until next week.
Yeah. 6'3".
211. He transferred in from Verina. And you remember we played some games in our long tenure. Verina was one that we ran into.
On the night so far, Newsom, the quarterback for Hampton, has 5 rushes for 44 yards, but he is 0 for 2 passing the football. So this is 4th down now, 4th and 12. And we will see Eubank stay in the ball game at quarterback. So we don't know whether Newsom has been injured or he just going to give him a shot at this. The ball is overthrown a little bit, juggled by his intended receiver. He just couldn't quite get his hands on it.
Well, the timing it's got to be a little bit off. This young man has not thrown many balls, and I'm very surprised to see him tonight because when Brent talked to him, he told Brent that Eubank would start next week.
The intended receiver was, guess who? Dion Newsom. Yeah. They're the starting quarterback. So a little trickeration there by the Crabbers, mixing it up a little bit, put Newsom out as a receiver.
Well, the young man is a tremendous athlete, can do everything.
But the Bruins are able to stop them on downs.
That's Mr. Bailey, principal of the Bethel High School.
So the Bruins will take over. 9 minutes remaining in the first half. This is Brown setting up a screen pass, but it does not fool the Hampton defense.
Boy, they were right on top of that.
That was completed, but for a loss. Chris Davis, the diminutive running back.
Wow, that's what, about a 10-yard loss?
Yep.
Wow.
Now the officials are having a
this
conversation. Not sure what that's about.
I'm not sure either. We saw a game we told you earlier when Phoebus played Warwick, and every penalty was a conference.
Well,
okay, what does the rule book say? That sounds good. We'll write that one down. Do you see letterheads?
All right, so they're whatever the conversation was, the play stands as it was, a loss of about 10. Bruins get the snap off, throw it, and completes the ball. Enough for a first down across the 30-yard line.
About 20, 21, 22 yards. Wow.
That was a nice completion. Alex Wilson was the receiver on that play. He's a junior. So Wilson gets a 22-yard completion. Here's your replay. Frank Brown from the gun.
Showed a lot of patience, stepped up.
Found his receiver and had two receivers in the same zone, as a matter of fact.
And that was Dallas Cogdell that finally made the tackle.
So Brown, was that intercepted? Very close to being intercepted.
Sure.
Just a kind of a struggle for the ball. It looks like Davis actually caught it for a loss. Substantial loss at that. So they lost about 8 yards on that play.
Well, I was watching the Bruins warm up, and they were throwing that little short swing out of the backfield. Well, the Crabbers must have been watching it too, because when he got the ball, he was almost caught by the defensive man.
It was a real close play, and it was almost an interception. So second down and 18 now for the Bruins. Brown again wants to pass, hit as he throws, and the ball goes incomplete. Not even close to any receivers, but I think that was due as much to the pressure that he received in the backfield there. I wasn't able to pick up the Crabber defender who knocked him down just as he threw the ball.
I believe it, if I'm not mistaken, as Christopher Flood, the 55. You can't see the number on his back because of the long hair, but I believe that's 55.
I guarantee you Frank Brown knows his number now because he took a pretty good lick. Incomplete pass stops the clock with 7:09 remaining in the first half. Glad you're joining us here on LSC. Tim Cole along with Bob Hintz. That's right.
Tim Cole and Bob Hintz together again.
2011. Brown going to run the ball and stopped after a short gain. Looked like on the defensive stop for the Crabbers. I think that was 69, I believe it was, or 67, Malik Brown. And that'll bring up a fourth down. So the Bruins had that first possession and was able to run the length of the field for a 69-yard drive. But after that, it's been a defensive struggle.
Well, Hampton is starting to put some pressure on Brown to not letting him get comfortable back in the pocket.
Relatively low kick, and it's downed by the Bruins.
That was number one, took it Justin Blue.
Justin Blue downed it at the 42-yard line, so the Crabbers will have good field position. 66, by the way, Duante Wilson is the younger brother of Tyrell Wilson, now playing at Virginia Tech, just as a little side note. 42-yard line, the Hampton Crabbers will get it. They have been stopped on downs twice in the first half.
Did I mention Gerard Mayo?
Yes, you did. I think you did.
Okay.
Hold the Mayo.
Boy, there's a lot of people that play against him would say hold the Mayo because he's a great linebacker for the Patriots.
So the Crabbers now are continuing with Jeremy Eubank at quarterback, and he gives this time to number 42, Marshawn Williams.
I don't know if you are aware of this, but since Old Dominion has started their football program, they have 15 kids on their team from the Hampton school system, not just the whole peninsula, just from the Hampton school system.
Wow.
15.
And they're doing very well.
Yes, they are.
Ball just shy of the 45-yard line. Eubank continues to be the quarterback for Hampton. Throws, got a man wide open at the 48-yard line. He's got the first down for the Crabbers.
That's right. Bill D is over coaching with the ODU. And that was number one.
Well, that was Jamal Brown, number 2, who caught the ball.
Okay, you have number 1 for the Bruins. Justin Blue made the tackle.
So that is a first down for the Crabbers. So they get a little something going here after starting Dion Newsom at quarterback, and he had done well but not been able to complete a pass. Now Eubank has come in and connected. Ball is marked at the Bruin 41-yard line. Double wide receivers to the near side, double wides to the top of the screen. Out of the shotgun. Eubank. And the Bruins all over that play as the Dallas.
Go ahead.
No, I'm going to say Dallas Cogdell was the man carrying the football.
Ricky Walker and Gabriel Saunders were the two that made the tackle. Now, Ricky Walker is just a sophomore, 6'1", 255. Gabriel Saunders, senior, 6'2", 265. Now, you're getting hit by two guys that's over 250 pounds. Whew. That's about 500 pounds hitting you, isn't it? If my math is
Your math is really well. No gain on the play. Second down and 10 for the Crabbers. In the slot to the left side is Newsom, the original starting quarterback for the Crabbers. Eubanks from the gun. Wants to pass now, sees some running room, and does a nice job of getting down to about the 34-yard line. It'll bring up a third down and about 4.
Keith Phillips, number 4, linebacker, 6'2", 200 pounds, was on the stop that time. But I was surprised to see him run because, you know, you got to protect that hand. And I'm not that familiar with this young man at quarterback and what he did up to Carolina. But he's not afraid to tuck the ball and run.
You saw the replay. Third down and 4 for the Crabbers. Trying to get back in this game, trailing 7-0. We're winding down toward the end of the first half, 3:45 and moving. And he will not get a chance to get the ball.
That's number 4.
Shot that gap, Tim. He just good timing on his part.
So Eubanks never had a chance.
No, that makes it 4th and 10. So the Crabbers they're going to have to punt this. Try to put the Bruins back deep in their own end of the field because their defense is looking good. The Crabbers are getting stronger on defense, putting more pressure on Frank, not letting him have time to find the open receiver.
Stabe in deep punt formation. The left-footed kicker gets a low kick off, takes a nice bound for the Crabbers, and it'll be downed inside the 5, right at the 5-yard line.
So they'll almost hit a player.
Yeah, it was very close to hitting a Bruin, which would have been a very fortuitous situation for the Crabbers. They could have recovered that ball, but it just narrowly missed the green and gold rather of the Bruins. There you see the Bethel side of the field. Nice crowd on hand for them. They're the home team for this game in particular.
Now that shot's coming from Steve Fry's camera. He's on the sideline with Gene Wheeler. They're both on the sideline camera with us. And if you look real close, Tim, if you hold your hand up, maybe you're there. You go, Mom, there I am.
Mom was going to try and watch tonight if she could stay awake. Oh, she goes to bed late. She just wasn't sure I could keep her awake.
Oh, my God.
So the incomplete pass stops the clock with 2:47 remaining. The Bruins have 2 timeouts remaining. Hampton has 1. There you see a pretty good close-up of... Oh, the glare is probably blinding most of the people at home.
There's my man right over here.
Bruins, Frank Brown standing at his goal line. Gives to Davis. Davis trying to get to the outside. Got away from one man, but couldn't get away from a second and third, and he is stopped right about the 2-yard line. So the Crabbers wish they had a little more timeouts remaining because they'd love to stop the clock here.
Right, well, he was, instead of going north and south, going east and west and a little bit north.
Here you go. See, tried to go inside, but saw that was clogged up, got to the outside. The Crabbers were, again, very quick to the ball. And Davis kept moving the legs, but then at that point it was, I'm not going anywhere. I better just protect the football.
Really? Getting close to that end zone.
Third down and 13. Brown standing 6 yards deep. Throws incomplete as he was throwing intended for Proctor.
And now you got your punter standing with his back right at the end line. If it's a bad snap and he steps on the end line, that's 2 points.
Here's your replay. You want to see Brown throwing just out of the reach, and even if he had caught it, he would have been out of bounds.
Yeah. He had to get it over that linebacker, but couldn't drop it in that. That's a tough pass to complete.
The shoulder gets the kick away. It's a nice kick over the head of Newsom. Drives him all the way back across midfield. Newsom picks it up at his 45. Looking for a block or two. Gets to the near side. He has some running room. And he's finally pushed out of bounds, but not until he gets down to the 30-yard line.
Wow, I tell you, it was very close to being able to break that.
If he could have gotten by that one man, he might have very well gone all the way, but good job by the Bruins to make sure he was contained. I'm trying to pick up the number. I think that was Robbie Howard, number 59, who ultimately drove him out of bounds. We'll see the replay here. And watch as Newsom goes back to his 44.
When you notice right here, everybody, all the Bruins are stacked right there. And then
Yep. But a good job of somebody pushing him out. Now with 1:43 and one timeout, the Crabbers have the ball at the Bruin 30.
And they've got the quarterback, Jeremy Eubank, in there.
And a fumble. Ball is on the ground. Let's see who's gotten it. The Bruins say they've got it. No official signal down there. So Bill Dozier, the referee, will indicate that the Crabbers have given it up.
And number 80 is the one coming up with the ball. And that's Gerard Sharp. He's junior, 5'11", 150, defensive back.
Here's your replay. It was either a fake or a handoff.
Well, I don't know if the 80 come up with it or not. I don't see how 80 got it, but he was rejoicing like he got it. But it looked like maybe it was one of the 50s numbers.
In any event, the Crabbers give it up. And the Bruins have it now with 1:38 remaining. They've got 2 timeouts. Brown swing pass to the right side. Completes the pass for a short gain. That'll bring up second down and about 8 for the Bruins. There you see the clock. It's moving. Time remaining in the first half.
And I don't know if the Bruins are going to want to stop that clock unless they can get the ball down here within field goal range or at least across the 50-yard line. May take a couple shots.
1:09 remaining. On his back, wants to throw, throws long, and nowhere near any of his receivers. Out on the pattern for the Bruins was number 5, Willie Davis, but he was the closest man to it, and he was still a good 10 yards away from where the ball ended up.
And Rashad Proctor broke inside, and maybe there was a miscommunication that because he was the one I thought that he was going to throw to. That's his favorite receiver.
So little time has gone off the clock, 59 seconds still remaining. Bruins still have 2 timeouts, but they're at a 3rd down and 8 now. So they're running out of downs. They need to get a first down to keep this one going before halftime. Brown in the shotgun again, and he will get back to the line of scrimmage and may have gained a yard, but that's not what they needed. They needed to get a first down.
Tim, I think he lost a yard.
He did. As a matter of fact, he did. You're right. So the 4th down now with the loss of a yard on that play, the Crabber defense. And again, if you joined us late, the Bruins took their first possession and drove 69 yards for the only score in this ball game. 1-yard run by Frank Brown.
You might want to let the clock delay a game here.
Yep.
As much time off the clock as you can.
You're the Bruins. You don't want to give it to the Crabbers if you could help it. And they are taking every bit of the time they can, and you call that one, Bob, as the flag goes in the air for delay of game with just 11 ticks of the clock remaining.
That was a smart move because Hampton could have called a timeout and stopped the clock, thought that they were going to not thinking that they would run the clock out. But if you're in that position, you don't want to give the Crabbers and Eubank a chance to get any confidence going into halftime.
So now 5 yards further back. And the rush is on. He just got it away. Relatively short kick. It takes the Hampton bounce. Excuse me, a Bethel bounce rather, down to the 41-yard line.
And the time ran out.
So 11 seconds is evaporated with the kick, as the roll was just a long enough time to finish the clock off at the first half.
Well, we've got some two different quarters. In the first quarter, Bethel took the ball and just moved right down the field, scored their touchdown when they got the ball. And then Hampton looked like they were scrubbing a little bit, and then they started moving the ball. But couldn't get in the end zone. They had a couple plays that just threw them too far back and couldn't do it. But I'm very surprised to see Eubank playing. That just blows my mind.
Yeah, that young man was, well, of course, Mike Smith pulled as a surprise, right?
How often does that happen, huh?
Tells the world that he won't be back until next week, and then out of the blue, he starts playing in the second quarter. So, but we've had a very interesting ball game, hard fought. The defenses have taken over the game, obviously. The Crabbers were held on downs twice. They fumbled the ball once, so they've got really 3 turnovers from that perspective. And the Bethel Bruins, of course, have moved the ball, but and Frank Brown has looked good, but they haven't been able to get into the end zone but the one time.
Right. Well, and if you'll talk to the coaches, they'll tell you the first part of the season, the defense is going to be way ahead of the offense anyway, because it's just your timing has got to get done. And when you're passing the ball as much as Bethel is, you got to have good timing, but you've got to be able to protect that quarterback. And at the first drive, it seemed like they protected him pretty well, and all of a sudden Hampton said, okay, we're going to start shifting a little bit and moving our defensive players, and they start putting a lot of pressure on Frank.
Just some of the upcoming ball games. The Hampton Crabbers' next contest will be here at Darling Stadium next Friday night, the 23rd, and they will take on the Woodside team, who I understand is probably the best team in the Newport News area as far as the Peninsula District is concerned. And these Bethel Bruins will be traveling to Denby High School next week for their game on the 24th. That game is scheduled for 5 o'clock at Todd Stadium.
Yeah, they're going to run a couple of games that day. The Hampton schools' main opponent is going to be other Hampton schools this year. Although Warwick, you can't overlook Warwick. I thought Warwick played a great game against Phoebus in the opening contest. Phoebus had to basically come from behind and do it. We have a little thing going on in the
the young lady's name you were mentioning earlier?
McCoy or something like it, was a runner. Was at Bethel High School. Tremendous young lady. Ron Baton will tell you he's been coaching the girls track. For years, he was coaching the young ladies before they went to the high school, and they get to high school and just explode on the scene, so to speak. And Ron Baton wasn't getting a whole lot of credit for that, but he had a lot to do with it. Now he is the head coach over at Hampton High School, the girls coach over there. So.
And
we're going to have
we
got a little tribute to Timothy Cole. Do you know that guy?
No,
I've heard you called Tim Fox, King Cole.
Called worse. I've been called worse than all of those things. There's going to
from Darling Stadium in Hampton, WHCS, one of those, Cable Channel 5 presents Peninsula District Football. 3-0. And real briefly, we'll talk about some of the statistics of the first half. Sun-drenched Darling Stadium, the last game to be played in this old stadium, and not next season, but the season after that, they'll have a whole brand new stadium to work from right here. They sure will. Delay in the opening of Darling Stadium has once again put extra pressure on Todd Stadium's crew, and they have responded as the stadium is in superb condition. The field, even with the rain that we had earlier today and the rain earlier this week.
Todd Stadium in Newport News. This is Tim Cole along with Bob Hintz and A.G. Womble, and we are here at Todd Stadium for the annual clash between the Bethel Bruins and the Hampton Crabbers. Bob, we've got lots of different things to consider when we try and figure out who's got the best motivation in this game.
City schools did very well last week. Of course, Hampton High School beat Lafayette, a game we were here to do.
Oh, they spanked the fool out of Lafayette.
They really did. And right now, while we have this opportunity, let's go to that interview that AG had with head coach Mike Smith. But right now, we're going to go back in time. Bob had a chance to talk with head coach Kozlowski of the Bethel Bruins. Bill D of the Phoebus Phantoms. Well, there we are, Bob. We've got our not so unbiased sweatshirts on that read Bethel Bruins 10-0, mission accomplished. Of course, you heard Dennis Kozlowski in that interview mention to you, Bob, that he is a little concerned about the fact that the mission is not accomplished yet. Certainly the Peninsula District Championship and other things. Good evening, everybody, and we welcome you to Darling Stadium for this clash between the unbeaten Kecoughtan Warriors and the unbeaten Hampton Crabbers. Bob, these two teams have played very tough against each other the last 3 times. Well, we're going to. As a matter of fact, right now we're going to go back in time again. Bob had a chance to talk with head coach Mike Smith of the Hampton Crabbers. Oh, it's going to be a super game. Now, let's go back in time. Bob had a chance earlier to talk with head coach Dennis Kozlowski of the Bethel Bruins. You and I both know that's not how this goes.
No, this is not another game. This is a big game, and you and I first started doing in 1980. Our very first game was this Hampton and this Bethel team because they were a great rivalry then, and they still are. The coaches may say it's one other game, but Mike Smith likes to beat Dennis Kozlowski, and Dennis loves to beat Mike. I mean, it goes hand in hand.
Exactly. It doesn't get any better than this. We're going to have one more chance to go back in time. We're going to have the interview that Bob did with Coach Smith just a little while ago. We're going to go back in time for that interview, and we'll be right back after that interview with the starting lineups for tonight's game. And it's well documented. Well, it's the annual battle between the Bruins and the Crabbers. It should be a great one. I don't care what the records are. Both teams have got great records, so we should have a really good game. Right now, we're going to go back in time. First, Bob had a chance to talk with Mike Smith and then Coach Kozlowski. And we'll be back right after those interviews.
Take a Hampton school playing a Hampton school, you kind of throw away the record book anyway, I think.
We do that every time. Well, listen, there's going to be a great crowd tonight. It's going to be a great game. Bethel and Hampton, always a treat. Right now, let's go back in time. One more time, Bob had a chance to talk with Coach Kozlowski of the Bethel Bruins. Well, you know, we used to do these games in the daytime.
Oh, I wonder
way back
if you
when.
remember when our first telecast, Tim, was on a Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock right at Darling Stadium, but we were on the other side, and we had a band in front of us beating the drums, and you and I didn't know what was going on.
19 years ago.
19. I think that's about, I must be about 22 now, right?
Bob, you had a chance a little earlier to talk with head coach Mike Smith of the Hampton Crabbers. Right after the interview, we'll be back with the game today. Well, it's a huge game. Right now, we're going to go back in time. Bob had a chance to talk with head coach Tommy Riemann of the Warwick Raiders. Speaking of the coaches, we're going to go back in time right now. Bob had a chance to talk with head coach Mike Smith of the Hampton Crabbers. Now, this game, of course, was our inaugural game 21 years ago as we started our 21st season here, actually 3 games into it. But this used to be the game. You know, this was the game that replaced the Hampton Newport News Crabbers Typhoon contest on Thanksgiving Day. Absolutely. For a long time, this was the game that everyone pointed at toward the end of the season, and of course we did as well. But now with the schedule and the change over the years, that's not the case anymore. But this is very important because Phoebus has lost a game, Heritage has lost 2 games, Warwick has lost a game, so the winner of this game is really in a catbird seat for the Peninsula District. Of course, Division 5, Division 6, well, that's a different story.
Right.
Well, right now, let's go back in time, talking about that core of coaches that have been together so long. Bob had a chance to talk with head coach Mike Smith of the Hampton Crabbers.
The chicken is great.
Let me tell you, I got a real urge for some fried chicken tonight. You know, every now and then it just happens. I've been staying away.
You want me to call them, tell them you're going to get the big bucket ready?
Oh, no,
I don't mean the little, I mean the bucket.
I said tonight, it was the other night, I called my wife, I said, you know, what do you want to have for dinner? She says, takeout, reservation, something like that. And I said, I'm really jonesing for some fried chicken. So.
You drove right by it, stopped, and got the chicken.
I stopped, and it was all ready, and it was fresh, and I had some potato wedges and took it home. I was a bad boy. It was good. He was checking with me on the pass. They went from the 42 to the 25, and then 25 to the 1, so there'd be a 24-yard pass.
Yeah. Are you doing stats for killing tonight?
I'm helping when I can.
Well, right now we're going to go back in time. Bob had a chance to talk with head coach Tracy Parker of the Bethel Bruins. We'll be right back after that interview.
Well, the best way to what was it? The best offense is a good defense. The best way to keep the score down is to play well on offense. So it's always chicken and the egg, which came first.
I'm
right
not
now,
sure.
Speaking of going back in time, let's go back in time right now. Bob had a chance a little earlier to talk to head coach Tracy Parker of the Bethel Bruins. As you mentioned a little earlier, to talk to the coaching staff in lieu of Mike Smith, who is sick and may not even be at the game tonight. Bob had a chance to talk a little earlier with Alvis Mann and Danny Mitchell of the Hampton Crabbers. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. For Bob Hintz, Bob Killen, Mike Hauser, and the Channel 46 crew, this is Tim Cole. Thanks for watching. Good night, everybody.
That was great.
Well, the only thing I noticed. Now I think we're on.
Now, you said you lost.
The only thing that happened over those years as we went back in time is I lost more hair and gained more weight. And I'm trying to work on the other reverse now to do just the opposite.
You're going to grow hair?
Going to grow hair. I've got a new crop coming in any day now.
I don't know. Who do you go to get that crop planted?
Well, on our way up here on 95, there's these series of signs that say wigs, wigs, wigs. Every time I go by them, I get this urge to turn off on
Wigs are us.
Wigs are us.
We got some statistics. Let me let you do that. You're the man that's done statistics for years. I'm not going to take your
take my job away.
No, I'm not going to do that.
All right. Well, as the defense has been the mainstay here, the Crabbers had 4 first downs. The Bruins had 5. The rushing yardage, 19 carries for 62 yards for the Crabbers. 10 carries for -7 yards for the Bruins. So they have not been able to get the ball running, but they have certainly put on some yardage in the passing department.
What happens, though, is that when the quarterback gets sacked, that's taken away from him. So the runners have got yardage.
1 out of 5 for Hampton, and that includes, I think it was 1 pass completed by Eubank. And the Bruins on the other side, 9 of 13, as Frank Brown has been fairly proficient with 67 yards. 1 fumble lost by the Crabbers, none by the Bruins. 2 penalties for 10 yards against Hampton, 2 for 20 yards charged against the Bethel Bruins. 12:32 time of possession, almost equal, 11:28 for the Bruins. The only score was the Frank Brown 1-yard rush. The leaders for the teams, Frank Brown 9 of 13 for 67. Dion Newsom ran 5 times for 44 yards for the Hampton Crabbers.
For the Hampton, the rushers, Bellamy, who normally runs the ball, Tim, has not even played yet. So I don't know if he's got an injury or what. Cogdell is 5 for 5 yards. Newsom is 5 for 44 yards. Williams 6 for 17 yards. And the Bethel receivers, you got Rashad Parker's had 7 thrown to him, 2 catches, 27 yards. Willie Davis, 5 thrown to him, 3 catches, 26 yards. And Chris Davis, 22, had 3 catches, -8 yards because he caught the ball and was thrown for a loss. So that's some of the statistics we got right now. So, but was that a great piece or what? you got to take your hat off. Andy Foley showed me parts of this when he was setting it up, and I hooted. I simply hooted.
You know, and it was interesting to watch your hairline over those years as well. That early in the career with the Hampton school system, you had a very full head of hair. Unfortunately, I'm envious of the fact you still have it, but it was very dark and very long. And,
well, that was the style back then.
But you've changed.
And you've always had the facial hair. Some of you just had the mustache, and then you had the full beard, and now you just got.
Then it was dark. Then it was
semi-dark.
Well, it's been a real kick to be back and to work with this crew again. You know, these guys, men and women, are very good at what they do. They're professionals. One of the things that you and I appreciated over the years so much was the fact that you and I got all the glory, if you will. We sat in the nice warm booth as a rule, or the dry booth, and these team members of what is now LSC These guys in the cold weather, the rain, the heat, all
You name
through
it.
that.
You name it.
They've done it all, and I'm not being trying to be overly gratuitous, but they really do the hard job. They set up, they break down, and the weather conditions for them have been many times for we talked about some of the games, and when we were reminiscing about some of the games, the Bethel game at Richmond, University of Richmond, where Allen Iverson was instrumental in bringing them back from 2 touchdowns late in the game. The temperature that night was about, I don't know, 30, but the wind chill was more like minus 30.
Right, it was terrible.
Absolutely brutal. In fact, you were down on the field.
Yeah,
when it went into
dying. It went into overtime. I'm thinking, oh my golly. And then we went over, did one with Phoebus over across the way, and it was so cold. We asked Jerome Young to go out and buy us gloves. Our hands were hurting. It was so cold.
We actually cuddled that night.
Well, I wasn't going to bring that up, but
yeah, let's play those drums.
But I remember one year that we played every game on Friday night. It rained.
Yep.
And Nathaniel Braxton was starting singing Raindrops Fall on My Head. Then they moved one game to Saturday. It didn't rain on Friday, but it rained on Saturday. We talked about the Bud Bowl in Richmond up at the University at Virginia Union.
And you were kind enough to do a piece with me that'll be airing as well. But that was the game that I remember the most, as far as the most spectacular performance by a quarterback and an individual was Ronald Curry in that game in the most abominable conditions. The only thing that kept that game from not being stopped was there wasn't any lightning.
Right.
Because it was too cold for lightning. It was right at 38, 39 degrees. The water, when we walked from our car, you had to actually flooded the area. We had to walk through 6 inches of rain to get to the press box.
Yeah.
And then when we finally got there, the rain started coming even harder. And really, the game should have probably been postponed or something because of the conditions. But Ronald Curry went out there with Maude Hawkins and the rest of that team and performed under the most adverse conditions I've ever seen. It was the most spectacular performance I've ever seen by an athlete.
It ended up 55-0 and did not score any points the first quarter. So that means in 3 quarters they scored 55 points, which was just something unheard of. But I remember Coach Rinaldi, who had been coaching at Highland Springs, a pretty good coach, was doing radio right next to where we were broadcasting, and before the game he says there's no quarterback in high school that should get the hype that Ronald Curry. He says he can't be that good. At the end of the first half, he just says, oh my golly. He said he couldn't believe how this guy performed in those kind of conditions, and we were able to be part of that. It's just unbelievable, the athletes that we have been able to see, and a lot of them have gone on to the better things, and some stayed in sports, others went on to other things.
No, it would really be fun to go back and try and track down all of the fine athletes, and not just the ones that performed, that got all the accolades, like the Ronald Currys, but to go back and to investigate and see what these guys ended up doing and where they ended up.
Well, I'm doing a little thing called Sports Time, and it airs on Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays.
Perfect. See, you'll owe me for that introduction.
Yeah, no, 7:30, 7:30 in the morning, 7:30 in the evening, and I'm getting a lot of the athletes that have gone through the system, and some of them have come back in and are coaching, and some of them have gone on and done well. Like Kevin Swan is now a preacher and is just tremendous. And what really gets me is when I talk to these, how they use sports to better what they are doing, whether it's in religion, whether it's in being a principal of a middle school or whatever. And it's just wonderful to see these young men just go on and put back into the community. And I'm not been able to get them all. I wish I could. I've talked to Lakeisha Frett, trying to get her to come up here. When she comes up to see her mama, she promised me she's going to do it. Tony Rutland, trying to get him up here. And, some of these guys that you and I have got to see, and not only watch here, but like Tony Rutland, got to see him at Wake Forest. Iverson, we got to see him at Georgetown, and then into the pros. And Ronald Curry when he went out to Oakland, and it just on and on and on.
And it still amazes me, quite frankly, that Ronald Curry didn't do more as a quarterback because he got hurt early in his career at North Carolina, and just never really got back to it.
And still held the passing records down there.
And then ultimately went off to be a wide receiver. I mean, of course, we knew he was an incredible athlete on every aspect because he was such. Well, that's back to this ball game as the kickoff is taken all the way back to the 2-yard line. Still struggling along the far sideline and across the 20.
Looks like a Hampton player hurt.
Yeah,
down
looks
there,
like
Tim.
a couple of players slow to get up. The return was taken by Willie Davis, number 5, and the Hampton Crabber that is slow to get up. I'm trying to pick up his number. Looks like it was 15 for the Crabbers.
That would be Harper if it is.
Yeah, DeMontre Harper, and he's getting off under his own steam.
Oh,
but
that's good. That's good.
Might have gotten a Charlie horse.
I mean, he's kind of trying to walk it out. Yeah, it looks like it might be a cramp or something.
So here's how the game has changed. The Bethel Bruins had 4 first downs and 63 yards on their first drive, but they've had 1 first down and -1 yard rushing since.
Wow.
So the Crabber defense, as we've so often seen, has made the adjustments. Here's Davis up the middle, and he's going to go across the 25 to about the 26-yard line.
And if you remember the start of the game, the Bruins won the toss, elected to defer to the second half. That's why they've got the ball on the opening kickoff second half. As you watch the replay of this straight ahead.
And they're going without a huddle. So they are back at the line of scrimmage, trying to speed up the game. This is, again, same player with a similar success, about 3 yards to the 30-yard line. It'll bring up a 3rd down and a long yard for the Bethel Bruins. Again, with Willie Davis, excuse me, Chris Davis, rather, getting the call.
Well, we know it's one of the Davises.
Yes. And again, no huddle. 3rd down and a yard to go. Second half just underway. Tim Cole along with Bob Hintz and the entire crew here at Darling Stadium.
Got a stoppage of the clock for some reason here.
Sideline warning, Hampton.
They got the sideline warning, so next time it'll be a penalty.
In the meantime, it slows down the Bruins. So.
Yeah, it does that. They're ready. They were up there ready to go. You got the short or long one, as you called it.
Brown out of the shotgun, as he has been throughout the ball game. Keeps the ball. He's got the first down around the 35, 40, and out to the 45-yard line. So a big gain of 14 yards on the play.
What a great job of acting like you had the ball by Davis that time, because he was tackled.
As he fooled me early in the game, he fooled the defenders that time. Watch your replay here. This is a good job. This is the belly play. They fake it into the to Davis, and then Frank Brown, nice cut back here to get a couple of extra yards. So Brown showed some good running skills on that play.
Frank is no small. He's 6'2", 190.
Brown wants to go long. He's got Proctor out there along with 2 Hampton defenders, and actually the best opportunity was for the Crabbers to make the interception. That was number 2, Jamal Brown, defending. And he actually got a hand on the ball, but couldn't bring it in. So the Bruins, with the incomplete pass, bring up 2nd down and 10. And again, the no huddle.
I don't think that was Brown. It looked like it was number 4 to me.
Was it 4?
Yeah.
I couldn't quite make out the numbers. From the 45. Again, Davis. And Davis spins his way down to about the 48-yard line. That brings up 3rd down and 7 to go for the Bruins. They lead 7-0. If you joined us late, this game coming to you live from Darling Stadium on the 16th of September. 9:58 remaining, as you can see on the top of your screen there in the 3rd quarter. The Bruins scored on their first possession and have done a little since until now. They've got a drive going. Brown time throws, got a man open at the 40. 20 to 38-yard line. Nice grab there.
Willie got it. Willie Davis that time.
Willie Davis on the receiving end. That was from the 45 all the way down to the 38-yard line. Here's the replay.
Willie comes off the field, and number 7 goes in for the Bruins, and that's Proctor.
Making a first down, ball now marked at
Assisting on the tackle was Dallas Cogdell for the Crabbers. Another first down for the Bruins. This is Davis, and Davis is at the 35-yard line, so he picks up 3.
Looks like what the coaching staff is, instead of we're just going to come out and pass, we're going to run and we're going to make you play us honest. And they're not picking up a lot of yardage with that dive with young Davis up the middle, but it's keeping the defense honest.
Second down and 7. Belly play again. Davis faked to the ball and kept by Frank Brown.
That was Brown faked again, and I thought Davis had the ball.
Yep. Well, they pick up a couple on that play. It's 3rd down and 5 to go for the Bruins.
3rd down and 5 now for the Bruins.
Second half is brought to you by Eric Thompson Realtor. Contact Eric to buy or sell your home or property. Give Eric a call. This is the second half, and the third quarter sponsors. We'll get to those in just one moment. Make sure our supporters are supported. Brown over the middle, completes the pass. That'll be a first down at the 25-yard line.
Making that reception in the
All right, we got a chance to do it, Tim.
Okay. Third quarter sponsors are Kaufman and Cannolis. I might stop for a cannoli on the way home, as a matter of fact. That sounds good. With offices in Hampton on Cunningham Drive across from Peninsula Town Center. And Hampton Newport News at the City Center.
That's not fair that people can't hear Scott.
I know. They should be able to hear him. He is a funny man. You know that? We should mic him up. First down for the Bruins. And little or no gain this time for Davis.
He ran into number 62, Big Troy Garnett, who's a junior, 6'2", 268.
Brown has cooled off a little on his passing here. He was 8 for 8 to start the ball game for 65 yards, and he's just 2 out of 7 since then with 16 yards gained. And again, I want to thank Frank Edgar for those statistics.
Prior to the snap, false start against the offense. 5 yards, remains second down.
Bill Dozier, loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
So the 5-yard penalty backs up the Bruins to their 30. Clock continues to count down here in the third quarter. Hampton on defense, trailing 7-0. Brown has time. Throws, got a man open, and completes the pass at the 14-yard line. That is Willie Davis, one of his favorite receivers so far tonight.
Willie has really been in his scope tonight. You watched the replay.
Came off a little gimpy. Here's the replay.
Coming right at you. Good camera work. That had to be Gene Wheeler on that end of the field.
Kind of grabbed his left quad, it looked like. Hopefully not something that'll keep him from returning to the ball game. Davis has the ball. The little scooter has the ball down inside the 5-yard line.
And what was funny about that play was that Brown was running around along, so you wasn't sure which one had the ball.
And that's the beauty of that play, because you really can't be certain, so you're tackling both of the players. And again, the hurry-up offense, keeping the Crabbers on their heels. Brown gives to Davis again, and Davis to the 2-yard line.
Well, that's got to be a first down, isn't it?
That's the officials are stopping the clock to advance the chains, and you're absolutely right, Bob. That'll be a first and goal for the Bruins.
First down there for the Bruins, signaled by the referee there.
He's on top of it. Bob is spotting those first downs.
Well, you know, I've spotted it because you kind of nudged me a little there. Got a little your eagle eye that time.
So the Bruins, who have gone this entire offensive drive without the huddle, give to Davis, and Davis is stacked up as the middle of the defensive line.
42, 32, 22,
oh, yeah.
33.
I mean, 42, Marshawn Williams was right there to push him backwards, so there was no gain on that play. In fact, a loss of maybe a yard. Now we've got a Bethel Bruin timeout. So they'll burn one of their 3 second-half timeouts, giving them 2 remaining. As you look at the Bethel crowd here on hand for tonight's game.
Please remember that smoking is not permitted anywhere.
5:58 left in the third quarter. Get a chance to see this last play where they hand off to Davis, and he was just met and driven back. That was 42.
Yeah, right.
Marshawn Williams was
one you mentioned.
He was on top of that play.
And he's just a sophomore playing that linebacker spot, 6'209". So he's, you know, got some youngsters on this team that are stepping up for Mike Smith.
He always has, you know, the players. They do such a great job over at Hampton as they do at Bethel. But Hampton just traditionally keeps them in the system, keeps bringing those young players, developing them, and making them just go from rookie looking or, you know, freshman awkward sophomore, and all of a sudden in their junior and senior year, these guys are all world.
And a lot of that goes back to the recreation ball that in Hampton. The recreation league is tremendous proving ground for these young.
And now we're going down to the field for just a moment.
He'll tell you when.
Hi, I'm Michaela. You're watching LSC, all sports, all the time.
If you're interested in placing a brick for yourself or for a loved one,
I hope that came through.
We couldn't hear what she said, but she looked cute.
That's what you're supposed to say.
On this drive, Chris Davis, 8 rushes for 25 yards. Brown, 2 rushes for 17 yards. So they've kept the ball pretty much on the ground. But when they needed to, they've made the passes. This is Davis again. Davis in the end zone for the touchdown.
Wow, that's the first time Hampton has trailed Bethel High School by 2 touchdowns in a long, long time.
That was Davis from 4 yards out. The little guy.
Well, that was a good timeout they called because they found out what would work. Here we go. Watch it on replay, Tim.
He was not to be denied. He just wouldn't give up and got through the defense for the touchdown.
Well, he was tackled at about the 1.5-yard line, and he stretched and got that ball across that end line, and that's all you have to do.
Over with the extra point try. It just snuck in the left upright. I can see the official down there leaning over.
I thought he was, you know, a little tipsy there.
So that drive was 6 minutes and 6 seconds. There you see the coach over there, Jeff Nelson, happy camper with that right knee in a brace. 15 plays for that drive and a 4-yard run by Chris Davis with 6:06 on the clock, 79 yards. So basically, the Bruins took the opening second half kickoff and drove the field.
Well, the first time they got the ball in the first half.
Yep.
They moved it down and scored.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Cheerleaders doing push-ups.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Let's hear it for those cheerleaders.
Glad I don't have to do that.
I got tired watching.
I go, whoa.
1. Wait a minute, can I have a glass of water? 2.
Well, I noticed coming up here tonight, they've added a few extra steps in the stands here because I don't remember them having quite that many steps. The Crabbers.
There's a nice opening.
All the way across the 40-yard line.
You didn't come up the elevator?
Oh, no, I didn't hear about the elevator. So the Crabbers will start with good field position at their 41-yard line. They've had good field position for the most part. And we've got a Bruins shake up on a play. Hopefully it's only a cramp, but that is a key element of their team so far tonight.
Yeah.
Billy Davis, number 5, is they're working on that leg. But
well, I saw the coaches having all the kids on the sideline doing high stepping out there and stretching their quads and their hamstrings and their calf muscles so that hopefully they won't get cramped up. And it's not because of the heat, but they're sweating and using a lot of energy out there. And if you don't hydrate and keep the fluids in your body, you're going to cramp up.
So they'll attend to Davis, and he'll have to come out for at least one play. 5:46 left here in the third quarter.
Well, while we got a break here, again, let me talk about our crew. We got cameras, got Wube Gabre, my buddy Wube, Susan Bowers, they're both up in the stands. Gene Wheeler and Steve Fryer on the sidelines. Graphics and animation, Andy Foley, who put that little piece together, so you need to make sure you pay him before you leave. Slow motion instant replay, I guess that's Paddle Duck, Krista Campbell. Boy, she is really going to be mad at me. Puddle Duck. Oh, I'm sorry. That's puddle, not paddle. I can't read somebody's writing. Camera control operator Renee Camden, and we can thank her for setting up all that food we get. That's really nice. Chief engineer Don Trousen, he's been all over the place tonight, fixing and doing and whatever needs to be done. Engineer Greg Lesko, director producer Scotty Bowers. I'm Bob Hintz, along with Tim Cole, Brent Musgrove, and Frank Edgar doing stats.
So first time in the ball game tonight is Bellamy, number 20. He is in there with the original starting quarterback, Newsom. Newsom turns the right side, gets some good yardage out across the 45 to about the 47-yard line.
Mike Smith is really mixing it up a little bit about who he's got back there at quarterback. You don't know if you're going to see Newsom back there. You're going to see Jeremy Eubank back there, or you're going to see who's going to be? Jamal Brown could be back there. He played quarterback the first game.
You see the Bruin Willie Davis
Ray
being
Smith,
attended to.
athletic director over at Bethel.
Trying to get that cramp taken care of. Quarterback draw. Newsom, good yardage, 40. Gets to the outside, 35. Got a penalty flag.
Yeah.
Got
and another one.
He's got two.
Oh, no, I didn't know they carried backups. Maybe he's got the one for the guy that got hurt.
He had an auxiliary flag just in case he needed to throw two of them. So we'll see. I'm not sure what the call is. It likely is a...
could be a face mask here and a
Let's see if we can pick it up.
Back.
See if we can pick it up here. I didn't see anything, but and now the late one comes down. I don't know whether that was because of taunting or what exactly. We'll hear from Bill Dozier.
There are two fouls on the play. Holding against the offense, face mask against the defense. Those penalties offset, replay the down.
That goes all the way back to the 47-yard line?
Yeah, that's a shame for the Bruins because, or the Crabbers, because they had really gotten a nice gain on that play, and Mike Smith's going to want to walk over there and talk to the official and say, well, aren't these?
Well, you know, if they were both live fouls, then you do that. But if one is a dead ball foul, you don't do that.
Well, and
I don't think. I'm just guessing.
And I would have guessed that the face mask was a dead ball foul. I don't know. Mike, him in our picture, but he on the far sideline is having a rather heated discussion.
Yeah, Mike's not a happy camper because he's lost some real yard. Here we go.
Correction. Holding against the offense. Face mask against the running back. One foul will be enforced. 10-yard holding foul from the spot. Remains second down.
That's very interesting. So in the stiff arm, in the attempt to give a stiff arm, apparently he grabbed the face mask.
Well, I thought he did, but he didn't throw that right away.
No.
Of course, it was a second flag. He had to fight it. I guess I don't know.
Because the first flag was thrown for the holding.
Holding against the offense. 10 yards, remains second down.
That can't be second. That's got to be first down.
It's got to be first down because the sticks over it.
Look at the sticks.
Well, they're going to move it's got to be a first down.
The yardage was sufficient to gain the line to gain first down.
Okay, so now we got it right. So they were penalized at the end of the play for the holding, and the gain on the play was enough that they still had enough yardage for a first down.
The holding penalty comes from the point of the foul. And the other was probably just a 5-yard face mask, maybe. I don't know.
In any event, the Crabbers are alive and well at the 43-yard line. Inside handoff goes nowhere.
And that was number 20.
That's Bellamy.
Yes.
So his first handling of the ball tonight ends up with a loss of about 3 yards on the play. Well, they'll move it all the way to the 45, so it's a 2-yard loss. And that'll bring up 2nd down and 12 for Hampton. They are being shut out so far. 4:50 and the clock moving with the 3rd quarter. 14 for the Bruins and nothing for the Crabbers. The Bruins on the tail end of a pretty good whooping last year. So they had revenge on their mind, and so far they have been able to hold the Crabbers scoreless. At the 45-yard line, 2nd down and 12. Both quarterbacks have worked almost exclusively from the shotgun. This is Newsom, and Newsom will not get back to the line of
we got
scrimmage.
another penalty coming in.
Well, we got a ball that's loose too.
Bethel got the ball.
We got a.
That was a beanbag.
Yeah, it was a beanbag. That was a fumble by the Crabbers. So that's their 4th turnover.
Wow.
When you consider, if you give the ball over on downs, that's considered a turnover. And then they fumbled once, and now they fumbled a 2nd time. And the Bruins defense has been tough here. Now here's going to get the replay.
The ball came out, right?
In an effort to get the extra yardage, and so often you see that happens.
We got an official's timeout on the field for equipment. It looks like one of the Crabbers has got some equipment problems, so George Adamowski's out there helping him out. Oh, George used to be about your size.
Yeah.
And he lost that weight, and I said, George, what happened? He said, I just quit eating. That's a hard thing to do, quit eating, man.
God bless him.
Yeah, I tell you, I fight it all the time. I ride my bike so I keep slim.
I don't, so I won't.
That's why I like hanging around you. You even make me look slimmer and with more hair. I don't know how you do that, but just a talent you've got.
Davis, the ball carrier, out close to the midfield stripe, just short. He picked up 3 on the play. It'll be 2nd down and about 7. Well, let's see, where do they mark the ball? Actually, they marked it at the 49.
Yeah, so actually only
Just
picked
2.
up a couple of them, didn't they?
Yep. So they, after they respotted it, there was only a 2-yard gain. Sorry about that, graphics people. Out of the shotgun, Brown throws, and this one is almost picked off. Proctor was the intended receiver. Bellamy almost caught that one for the Crabbers.
He had as good a shot at it as anybody, and it's a good thing that Brown threw that ball low.
Mm-hmm. Here's the replay to watch that low throw from Brown. There you see Bellamy's superb effort to get to it, but couldn't hold on to it. Play reminds me of that supposed catch in the Deep Creek Hampton game. Don't let me forget that.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, and you have actually got to turn on the TV, and there they were playing that game. Got to see the Phantom catch again.
You know, it's kind of funny. When I'm down in South Carolina, I can go on the internet and watch these games that we did over the years, and it's kind of fun to watch and see how my hair shrunk and your hair shrunk, and everybody's gotten a little older.
I'll tell you, I don't know, how many years did you do? 25, 20, about 25, 26, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We had a wonderful relationship during that time and just had a great time during the ball games. And we would do, you'd say sports and we're going to televise it, we'd be there.
Rain or shine.
Rain or shine, and we didn't care if it was soccer or what it was. So we would
I wouldn't
show
go
up.
that far. 4th down, the Bruins in deep punt formation, but a flag on the play before the ball was snapped. Now, if it's a 5-yarder, it won't be enough for a 1st down, but let's just see what's going on here.
Dead ball, unsportsmanlike conduct against the defense, conflicting signals, 1st down.
Whoa.
Wow, that's a big, big penalty. My goodness.
15-yarder. I started to say if it's an encroachment or something like that, it's only going to be 5 and not enough for a 1st.
35-yard line. Yeah,
Wow.
I was thinking it was like encroachment.
Now the Crabbers have taken a timeout, and I think that's as much for Mike Smith to have a chance to vent his frustrations over that call.
That's just a play that your kids are just getting a little too excited, and evidently they were trying to do some of the play call, and that's what Mike is wanting to talk to Bill Dozier about right now, what had happened. And you're going to have to explain to me. Usually Mike puts his hat on backwards. He tied his hat off.
a beautiful night here for football.
3:09 left in the third quarter, but Mike Smith burned one of his team's timeouts to have a chance to give his side of that story.
Was that his second timeout this half?
No, that's just his first.
one. Oh, that's right. Bethel
called
had
the-
taken one. That's who. Okay.
Each team has used one of their three second half timeouts, I should say.
I'll tell you, this is it's been a strange game. A lot of different things have happened tonight that we haven't expected. We got to see a quarterback we didn't think we'd see. We got an official got wiped out. Bethel's throwing the ball well, but the penalty yardage, that last penalty is just unbelievable.
Davis, who has been the workhorse, gets the call again.
Getting tripped up just across the line of scrimmage, falling forward for a couple of yards.
We could just right now, we're going to watch what happens. We got a second and about 7. Davis picked up about 3 yards. Frank Brown back in the shotgun formation and then drew off Hampton Crabber again. That's a 5-yard. That would be an encroachment. That make it second and short rather than
Prior
second
to the
and long.
snap, encroachment against the defense, 5-yard penalty.
5-yard penalty.
That was Bill Dozier letting us know what happened that time. Hampton High has 4 penalties for 35 yards. And this has just been one of those nights where Mike Smith would just like to have more explanation of what happened, especially with that last penalty. And again, a second one. 2 in a row. The Hampton Crabbers, that's a
Prior to the snap,
penalty.
encroachment against the defense, 5-yard, first down.
I'm joined now by Brent Musgrove, who is going to step in here for Tim a second, who has got to take care of a situation, and he'll be right back. But welcome. Glad to have you over here with me.
Yeah. Strange seat to be sitting in, I'm telling you. People going off field, 12 people on the field or what there.
And that was Chris Davis, number 22. You've been doing the stats, so you know basically what's going on.
I was just watching the play. Hampton had a man exiting the field when Bethel ran the play, so they had 12 men on the field. Bethel picked up about 7 yards or 5 yards on the play.
But they had 2 encroachment play in a row. When was the last time you saw a Hampton Crabber team that undisciplined?
I don't know what's going on. They're getting a little bit rattled.
Substitution infraction against the defense. That penalty is declined, second down.
The other thing about it is you got a team held to 4th and 6, and somehow somebody interrupts the cadence, and and that gets called. I mean, what a crucial time for that. Hampton would have got the ball with about 4:30 left in the third quarter, and they needed to score in this third quarter.
And there's my old buddy over there that goes to all the Hampton ball games. Well, back at Brown back in the backfield, ready for the snap.
In the backfield there.
Fighting over the ball.
Well, that's one of those plays where, okay, you got to know I want it.
Well, I think the quarterback makes the decision as he looks at the line where he's going to give it up or follow him.
Well,
it's worked pretty well.
Yeah, well, that was a different running back that time. They had number 38 back there. Junior Shepard was he's 5'6", 160, was the young man instead of Willie Davis that time.
I have to say it, Brown for Bethel is looked pretty impressive tonight throwing the ball.
If he gets the time,
it is now third down and 2 to go, and they're down at the inside the 20.
Yeah, inside the 15. Oh, that didn't fool anybody.
That's going to bring up 4th down and about 3 now.
Well, what they wanted to do that time is they send a man in motion. They wanted to pull that linebacker out of it. The linebacker did not move, and when the runner wanted to go through that hole, there was a man in that hole.
Yeah.
Now, if he kicks a field goal from there, the ball is spotted at the 15.
20 at the 22. It'll be a 32-yard field goal.
About, yeah.
32-yard field goal from there. But they appear to be going for it. No.
Well, I don't think that the kicker has got that much of a leg. As you notice on the kickoffs, has been short. Hampton's going to call. I mean, Bethel's going to call a timeout. I think they were trying to draw the Crabbers off, get an encroachment play. We got 34 seconds to go in the quarter. We got a timeout.
I think Nelson. I think the coach is going to think about going for three. They'll put 3 scores on the board to make it awful tough for the Hampton. Right now, the way they appear to be moving the ball, make it tough to make up 3 scores.
Well, Hampton's turned the ball over twice. They twice went for a 4th down and didn't make it. So that's basically 4 turnovers that they've had.
You could call that first down on the penalty another turnover.
Absolutely, because the Hampton would have definitely had the ball because it was in punt formation, and the only way they were going to get a first down, it had to be a major penalty. And we thought encroachment, 5 yards, still going to have to kick the ball.
Well,
but
let me just, while I've got this short second with the microphone,
go.
It's a pleasure to watch you two guys do this tonight. Love just hearing the voices. I've said that before. But to go back to the game, before this game, who would have thought Hampton would have not have scored in 3 quarters and be trailing Bethel 14-0 when last year Hampton won 63-7.
Yeah. Well, I was telling Tim, I said, I don't know the last time I saw a Hampton team trail 14 points by the Bruins. And we're talking a long time, but that's back when Coach Kozlowski was coaching.
Yep.
Still have time to get your bricks to the wall of fame.
You know, Bethel's playing smart ball and using a fairly well ground control game with those passes. They're very precision passes.
Brown back to pass. Brown's got
there
it.
He
open.
is.
He walked in the end zone. That was number 7, Rashad Proctor, who has been up to the game, has been his
number 1 receiver.
But tonight he hasn't been.
He's been going to Davis tonight.
Right. And all of a sudden, it's just like they forgot all about Proctor.
The defender, if you get a rerun of this, you'll see the defender went deep and then fell down on the end zone trying to come back to
so I
cover Proctor.
Didn't pick that up.
Yeah, if they show that again, you'll see, watch this in the end zone. The defender went with him, went a little deep when Proctor cut to the corner, and look over, see him?
Yep.
He fell over there and trying to come back. He bit on the inside play.
Yes, he did. He most certainly did.
It was, missed the extra point.
Well, that's the first bad thing that they've done. But I tell you, the Crabbers have got 1 quarter and 28 seconds to try to do something. And
they're going to have to put the ball in the air. And as we talked about earlier before the game, this is what Bethel wants Hampton to do, is to have to go to the air. 2 reasons. The quarterback is a little bit questionable right now. I mean, it's not that he's not good. I mean, he just hasn't thrown that much. 1. 2, Bethel's supposedly got the best secondary in the city of Hampton right now. They had 6 guys return for their secondary this year.
Now that's Brown to Proctor for 15 yards is a touchdown. 7 plays, 2 minutes and 53 seconds, covered 53 yards. And I mean, they just look like they want to do something, and you're going to have to give up your seat. I'm sorry.
Hey, the big man's back. Well, thanks for the opportunity, and he's too big for me to argue with. I'll tell you that.
Welcome back to my partner. Took care of that situation, and you missed the Brown through a 15-yard pass to Proctor. 7 plays, 253, 53 yards, touchdown. Missed the extra point. Was it coming up the steps? Was it really tough, or you always breathe out? Or you just happy to see me?
I'm just happy to see you.
But that's almost end of the quarter. That was this is probably the worst field position that the Crabbers have had on a kickoff tonight.
Yeah, most of their field position has been up near the 40.
Yeah.
Well, the Crabbers are going to have to put something together here pretty quickly. You can call it the signals.
Eubank is in it because he's going to pass. The only way they're going to get back in this game this quick is for him to pass, and that was a great strike that time.
Equan Moore.
Well, 15 seconds, of course, the clock's going to stop when they have a first down. I don't know if we're going to get another one off. Watch the replay here. You got good protection that time. Just a nice little dump across the, right across the middle. Well, that's the end of the third quarter, and you have the sheet there.
Okay. sheets all over the place.
Third quarter. Oh, now today's fourth quarter sponsored by Park Lawn Wood Funeral Home, located at 2552 North Armstead Avenue. Funeral director is Vernon Kruger, and I know Vernon. He comes out to the golf course on Tuesdays when I'm working out there and plays some golf. And we got the full sponsors too. We'll go ahead.
Sure.
And do
Let's
those.
talk about them. The Grey Goose Restaurant, located at West Queensway in Hampton. Breakfast menus include their famous toasted buttermilk biscuits, and for lunch, try their smoked turkey panini. Follow the Grey Goose Restaurant on Facebook. The restaurant is also a bakery. I was over at Coliseum Central today, as a matter of fact. Talk about the Coliseum Central is located in the heart of Hampton Roads between Armstead Avenue and I-64. You can take care of all your shopping, dining, entertainment, medical, and business needs right there.
And also, today's game is sponsored by Rico Pizza, located at 55 West Mercury Boulevard in Langley Square Shopping Center. Stop after the game and pick up a pizza or one of their many menu items. Rico's Pizza is sure to hit the spot after you watch your hometown team go ahead and head.
Go ahead and what?
they're going head to head.
Oh, head.
That's what I was trying to say. I figured you would pick right up on that. I was calling Andy a goat head. Go ahead.
Eubank thrown for a loss. 4 yards the wrong direction for the Crabbers. Second down and 14 for the Crabbers. In the third quarter, rather, but Davis had 34 yards rushing. That's Chris Davis. Brown 54 yards passing. And the Crabbers had 35 yards in penalties, which really hurt them.
Really killed them.
That 15-yarder, that unsportsmanlike when they had him fourth down and punting. That was a tough one.
Wow.
Eubank wants to throw into coverage, and it is almost picked off.
That was number 14. It almost got a Corey Sweetenberg.
Yeah, he had in fact, I think he might have run before he caught it that time, because that ball was better thrown to him than it was the intended receiver.
Today's sponsor is Man-Made Management. Hampton athletes use Man-Men Management because it's the best sports agency in the area for sports. The former football player Justin Russell's certified sports agent, giving you a full service line of sports management experience. And also, we're going to pick a player of the game, and also one of our sponsors, Tidewater Team Sports, located on Cannon Boulevard in Oyster Point section of Newport News. Tidewater Team Sports is your one-stop sports headquarters for screen printing, embroidery, uniform, and apparel. Call 594-0411. Talk to David Chubb or Terry McNamara.
Third down and 14 to go for the Crabbers.
That would have been a big turnover had he got that interception.
And again, overthrown. The intended receiver that time appeared to be number 5, Willie Davis. Excuse me, wrong number 5.
Well, Eubank took a hit that time from number 4 for the Keith Phillips for the senior linebacker, 6 foot 200 pounds, hit Eubank just as he threw the ball.
So the Crabbers will have to bring on their kicking team. And they trail by 3 touchdowns, less 1 extra point. You see the score and the time remaining in the fourth quarter.
And we got deep for the Bruins.
It looks like Proctor.
Yep, it is.
Nice high kick. Proctor calls for the fair catch.
Proctor there seeking a fair catch.
But it looks like he recovered it. And it'll be Bruin ball at their 30-yard line.
There was a Crabbers close to him, and it probably took his attention off of the ball for a second.
The wind really not a factor tonight.
It hasn't been. Last night, when we was over here before the big storm and everything, and this Eric Anderson, who is the quarterback and kicker for the Phoebus Phantoms, was kicking the ball from the 50-yard line through the upright. I mean, the wind was that big. But if you turn around and kick the other way, you may have got 20. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And then that storm came through here just like almost like a tornado. The wind, you could just feel the temperature drop about 15 degrees in just a few minutes.
So the Bruins now would like to burn time off the clock. We'll see if Frank does go to the ground, and he does. This is Chris Davis. Picks up about 5 yards.
Well, Chris Davis is not a big kid, but I'll tell you what, he's a tough little runner. If you hit him straight, you can stop him, but you're not your glancing blow, he's going to keep right on going. He's a senior, he's only 5'6", Tim, 160. So, you know, don't tell me there's not a place for young, small kids playing football. You got the desire, you go out there and you can play football. You don't have to be big and brawny. What do we got?
Well, Davis for the night, 15 rushes for 40 yards, so he's averaging, you know, he's been the mainstay. He's picking up positive yardage and allowing Brown to pass when he needs to. And we got a late flag coming down
That's
here.
a delayed game, yeah.
So the back judge throws the flag, and that'll cost the Bruins 5 yards.
That's about the only mistake that they have made the second half.
If you joined us late, the Bruins took their opening possession and scored. That was the only score at halftime, and they've added 2 more touchdowns here in the second half. This is Brown, and Brown with a nice spin move. Oh my goodness, he almost broke it.
Well, that spin move got him the first down, Tim. And had he not spun, he wouldn't have got it, I don't think.
And when we see the replay, you're going to see a little bit of light appear as he got away from that spin move. It looked like he almost broke it. As he comes close to us, and he spins away, and then all of a sudden.
Oh, wow. And I tell you, if it wasn't for number 55 coming in there, he would have gone. And that 55 that's the Christopher Flood that we had talked about earlier.
But nonetheless, a first down, and time continues to run off the clock for the Bruins, leading 20-0. This is Davis again, and Davis breaks into the open, and he gets a first down inside the 45 to the 43-yard line.
Finally brought down by Harper, one of the outside linebackers.
So consecutive first downs for the Bruins. Importantly, keeps the ball in their hands and makes the clock continue to move. Of course, they don't want to score too quickly.
Well, if you score, that's you know.
Yeah, but you want to eat that clock down.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep, you've got enough points to win the game. There you see the home side of the field tonight. The Bethel Bruins with a good crowd on hand.
Clock running down, almost 9 minutes left here in the game.
Double wideouts to the far side as well as the near side now in motion. This is Proctor. Proctor being chased and taken down for a loss at the 45. Good job by the Hampton defense to react to that play.
They weren't fooled at all. There's a good shot of Beth Mayer. She must be a little chilly out there. She's got her hands in her pocket.
It has a fall-like feel to it out there.
Really, you know, I love fall weather.
Me too.
I don't like cold weather, but I like fall weather. And I like spring weather. I don't like summer when it gets real hot. I don't like winter when it gets real cold. We got a timeout or what?
Oh, we do have a stoppage in play. Oh, they had
Oh, they didn't put down
the down marker hadn't changed.
Yeah, they still second down instead of how can it be first and after that running play, no flag.
Again, Davis stopped for a loss in the backfield, and in on that stop was number 57 for the Crabbers. That is number 57 is Wesley Walker. So he did a good job with help from his teammates to hold Davis to another loss. So consecutive losses for the Bruins makes it third down and 14, almost 15 yards now. Let's call it 14.
Chris Davis comes running off the field a little gimpy, it looked like that time. He was like he might have sprained an ankle or something.
Bruins had 5 first downs in the first half, and they've had 9 so far here in the second half. Dominating the offense, controlling the ball. Throws completed.
Wow, that's a first down, Tim.
That's a great looking play from Frank Brown to Proctor, because that was third down and about 14, and they converted the first down.
Are you?
Bruins here running the clock. Just over 7 minutes left.
I'm trying to get Tim to, but I can't get a okay out of that.
Oh, I got a hot date after the game.
Oh, you. Does Donna know about that?
She is the hot date. 30-yard line, the Bruins, first down, so they continue to control the clock and the ball. Brown still has the football. Faked the handoff to Davis and almost ran with Davis and the ball.
Well, I'll tell you, when you had stepped out for a second and Brent was over here, and he puts the ball there, and it's like, okay, I'll give it back to me.
That almost looked like the same situation because it was like, I'm not sure you're supposed to have the ball. I'm not sure I should give it to you or hold on to it. But they picked up 4 yards on the play, so second down and 6 to go. The stats are coming fast and furious now from Frank. Brown is 14 of 20 for 137 yards and has also rushed for 28 yards. So Frank Brown is certainly one of our candidates for player of the game with those kind of statistics. He's played very well tonight.
Yes, he has.
He'll follow Davis, and then he veers off to the left.
Got a flag, Tim.
Flag down, and
that's usually a holding when it's thrown where they lined up on the line of scrimmage.
Alec Brown, number 67, in on the stop, along with number 15, DeMontre Harper.
The preliminary signal is holding. So now you can right there, third down, or you make them second down and take it back. But you know, Brown has been known to pick up big yardage on his passing, but they're going to take the penalty.
Holding against the offense. It's a 10-yard foul from the spot of the foul. Remains second down.
Well, you have to take that because you know that on average you do not average 10 yards per play.
Right.
So when you can get a 10-yard penalty, it's just one you have to take.
But you look at the time, Tim, and the time is running, and it's definitely one of the opponents of the Crabbers tonight.
You haven't had a chance to say that all night. That used to be one of your favorite things to say. They have two enemies on the field, two opponents.
Well, you just bring out the best in me.
Davis with the ball to the 32-yard line.
Well, I'm waiting till we get down to 1 minute and 20 and you say we got $1:20 to go. That's what I'm waiting for. Because I don't know that you would remember to do that.
No, it's actually 40 seconds less than 2 minutes.
That's okay.
32-yard line. Third down and 12, a crucial third down play for the Crabbers if they have any hopes of getting back into this one. They have 2 timeouts remaining, but they can't do much without the ball. Davis, 18 carries for 56 yards. Brown,
he was hit.
Hit just as it was thrown, and it is intercepted.
By, I believe, number 55 got it.
2 Crabbers actually ended up with it, but I think Flood will be the man who ultimately has the ball in his hands. That is the call.
Alonzo Cherry and Ann Stevens Cherry. She's the boss of this crew.
My old buddy Alonzo.
And you know Alonzo very well, don't you?
Alonzo he and I went to different schools together. But Alonzo and I worked together at Daily Press for a long time. And in fact, we saw him not long ago. He and Ann are great people.
Well, and Ann's one of my favorite people because she went to my alma mater, East Carolina.
East Carolina. You guys had a couple of tough games this season so far. Wow. Sorry about that Hokie game.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of people in Virginia that word. Sorry about it. But they played, I thought they played the Hokies good.
They did. They played well, and they played well against South Carolina, too. Tough way to start the season against those two.
It is that.
So Eubank is the quarterback, and he is down. He is sacked for a loss back to the 15-yard line.
And that was number 50 coming out and said, I think I'm the one that did it, so we will. Ricky Walker, that sophomore, they were real high on this young man. The coaching staff is just knowing they're going to have him for 2 more years. That's right. Walker, his brother is up in UVA.
Looks like 49 might have been in on that stop, too.
Yep, I believe you're right.
That is Sherman Johnson. So we've got a little more than 4 minutes remaining In the fourth quarter, Hampton losing yardage, 2nd down and 15 to go. 4 sacks for the Bruins tonight. And a fumble
again.
And that comes from, again, Eubanks just not having a lot of reps with the regular starting backfield.
Well, and there's a timing situation, how you put the ball in. You learn that during practice, and it's just not happening because he's not had a chance to practice. That's why I'm very, very surprised to see him in there.
So now they're all the way back to their 11-yard line. 89 yards away from the goal line at the other end of the field, and they trailed 20-0. The Bruins seeking revenge for last year's defeat.
I don't know the last time I saw Hampton play 4 quarters and not score a touchdown.
In a while, I'm sure.
There's another loss.
Another loss, yep. And that was a direct snap. It looked like that
was Jamal Brown who was the quarterback that time.
So Mike Smith is pulling out all the stops.
Well, he's going to have to punt it now.
9-yard line, a 4th down and 21.
Wow.
And again, the clock continues to tick off. You see it on your screen, 2:30 and moving. Bruins, barring some strange play, will get pretty good field position here. The block is on. They don't get the block, and they don't get a penalty on the roughing kicker because the kicker went down. But Bill Dozier was standing right there and waved off any penalty. So the ball is going to be spotted at the Hampton 36-yard line.
Wow.
The Bruins will have it, and they are in the catbird seat right now.
Oh, man, if they just mic him one time.
We're only laughing because it's funny. Our director just, we wanted to say that so many times. I'm almost tempted because.
No. What are they going to do, fire you?
That's right. That's what I was thinking. They can't fire me, I quit. All right, the Bruins from the 36. And they'll undoubtedly want to just wear that clock out at this point. Ball carrier this time, first time tonight I've called his name, Junior Shepard, number 38, as Davis getting a bit of a break.
Looked like number 80 was hurt on that play. He was being blocked, and his leg was kind of caught under somebody, but I see he's coming out on his own. Probably just, hopefully, just a light sprain
or a cramp at worst.
Yeah, that's Sharp, who was junior for this Bruin team.
Yeah, I think we've covered all of this, right?
As far as I know, we've done it all. Unless Scotty tells us we need to do something else, I think we've covered it all.
Hey, we'll do that. We get a chance.
Yeah.
140. Brown looking. And we'll just simply hold on to the ball. It comes loose, but the ball had been blown dead, so it'll still be Bethel football.
I want to thank our full sponsors, Grey Goose Restaurant, which is located in the West Queensway Mall, Rico's Pizza, which is located at West Mercury Boulevard and Langley Square Shopping Center, and Coliseum Central, where you can go down there. It's between Hampton Roads and Armstead Avenue, right there. Have everything you need. Also, Made Man Management, and of course, Tidewater Team Sport. Those are our main sponsors. We appreciate them. You don't know how much we depend on these people to help us out. We had second quarter was brought by Beach Hardware. Second half was done by Eric Thompson Realtor. The third quarter by Kaufman Cannolis, and Park Lawn Wood Funeral Home was also one of the fourth quarter sponsors.
That was the Bruin cornerback, Brown, who was shaken up on the play. He came limping off the field, and again, hopefully it was a cramp, but he was going to have to sit down at least one play, unless they decide to use one of their timeouts, which they have
can
just
do
one
that,
left.
yeah. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to call a timeout with 54 seconds to go.
Brown on the night, 14 rushes for 30 yards and 14 of 21 for 137 yards.
And I think I'm going with Frank Brown as the player of the game for the Bethel Bruins. That's a kind of easy pick for me. And I always give you the hard one.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Well, I don't want to change, do I?
No.
Okay.
Just jumped on that one, didn't you? I'm going to go with Dion Newsom because I thought he started well and played well for the Crabbers. He was consistently active both on offense and defense. So Dion Newsom gets my vote. And there were several other good candidates, certainly, but he has played a good ball game.
Yes, he has. And on the Bethel side, you've got some more than just Frank Brown. You got the young man that was catching the ball, running the ball. We'll give that to Mr. Musgrove. Let's pass him a note.
Right. 54 seconds remaining in the ball game. Well, I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Bob, for helping arrange for me coming back for a swan song here.
It's been my pleasure, Tim.
And Scotty Bowers and all the group. It's been great seeing everybody, and I hope we can do this again.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Next year, same time, same day.
Same bat channel. Here is Greenberg again. He was tossed by the Crabbers. A little frustration showing through there. That was Corey Sweetenberg, who was the quarterback, as Frank Brown had come out for a play. Brown is back in the game. But that'll cost the Crabbers 15, and I think just a little frustration. Crabbers aren't used to being shut out, let alone lose the game too.
Dead ball, personal foul against the defense. That penalty will be administered at the end of the run.
So it's 15 yards tacked on to the end of the run, so that'll put that ball inside the 15-yard line.
And a first down.
And a first down.
So that will seal the deal.
Dead ball, personal foul, half the distance, first down.
All right, you'll half the distance. And, I'd look for Bethel just to take a knee. But after they got beat last year at 60-some to 7 or whatever it was they got, you never know.
7 penalties against the Crabbers for 60 yards.
Just going to take a knee.
And a flag comes down, and there was appeared to be, and I don't want to be quick to judge this, but it looked like Brown took a hit.
He did.
And I don't know whether that's the penalty or not, but that was, if
well,
that was
he went on the knee, and the whistle blew, and you hit the guy. At this point of the game, that's frustration. Oh, we're going to have a...
Yeah, it's a procedure call, so maybe he drew someone off.
Yeah, exactly. That you're going to get hit when you draw somebody off. Frank's going to come out of there and
illegal formation, 6 men on the line of scrimmage, 5-yard penalty, first down.
So you're going to bring Trey Jackson in to take a knee on the quarterback.
The clock has restarted, and you can see the time burning off there, and the Crabbers are, barring a surprise here unforeseen, are going to end up losing and being shut out. 2 things the Crabbers are not used to. I'll restart the clock as soon as the ball is set, but with 20 seconds on the clock,
that'll be all she wrote.
The Bruins will not need to run another play. So I want a quick reminder that this game will be repeated here on Channel 48 and Verizon Fios Channel 22. The dates will be Sunday the 18th of September at 3, Monday the 19th at 8 and 8, Tuesday the 20th at 8 and 8, Friday the 23rd at 7:30 and 7:30, Saturday the 24th, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., and then Sunday the 25th of September 2011, 9 and 9. And again, I throw the 2011 in there because if Channel 48 keeps doing what they're doing, this thing will be showing again long after you and I are gone. The way it goes. So glad to see, as we see the handshake after the game, it's always a good thing to see that if there were some hard feelings, that the players let those things be bygones.
Yeah.
And it was a cleanly played game. There was
it really
wasn't any problems, but the Bethel Bruins end up on the right side of a 20-0 score to avenge last year's defeat and to beat their perennial rival.
Well, and to start the season 3-0 and your Division 6, that says a lot for your ability maybe to get into the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to let you close it up, Mr. Cole.
Well, I'm going to. What do I do, Scotty? Beat me up, Scotty. All right. Well, again, it's been a pleasure, Bob, being back here working with you, Brent and Frank and the entire crew, and I hope we can do this again before too long. The final score, the Bethel Bruins 20, the Hampton Crabbers no score. For Bob Hintz and the entire crew from Darling Stadium, this is Tim Cole. Thanks for watching. Good night, everybody.
Today's game was sponsored by the Grey Goose Restaurant, located on West Queens Way in Hampton. Enjoy the wide selection of breakfast and lunch dishes sure to please your appetite. Follow the Grey Goose Restaurant on Facebook, the restaurant that's also a bakery. Coliseum Central. Coliseum Central is located right in the heart of Hampton Roads, between Armistead Avenue and Interstate 64. You can take care of all your shopping, dining, entertainment, medical, and business needs right here. Who will represent you? Hampton athletes use Made Men Management because it's the best sports agency in the best area for sports. Rico's Pizza, located at 55 West Mercury Boulevard in the Langley Square Shopping Center. Rico's Pizza is sure to hit the spot after the game. Call 723-6850 today to place your order. Beach Hardware, located at 1951 East Pembroke Avenue in the Buckrow Shopping Center. Beach Hardware is your friendly local hardware store with everything you need to maintain your home inside and out. Eric Thompson Realtor. Contact Eric to buy or sell a home or property. Give Eric a call at 685-3127 or email him at eric@findhrhomes.com. Tidewater Team Sports, located at 11839B Cannon Boulevard in the Oyster Point section of Newport News. Tidewater Team Sports is your one-stop sports headquarters for screen printing, embroidery, uniforms, and apparel. Call 594-0411 and talk to David Chubb or Terry McNamara. Today's game was sponsored in part by attorneys at Kaufman & Knowles, with offices in Hampton on Cunningham Drive across from Peninsula Town Center and in Newport News at City Center. Kaufman & Knowles. We can and we will. Park Lawn Wood Funeral Home, located at 2552 North Armistead Avenue. The funeral director is Vernon Kruger.